Yeah. It
That's
wasn't a good idea though for there to be like, see what Max Payne does is that the people that you're shooting at have like semi-realistic health pools. You know, like they die with
yeah,
like one or two hits, and so it
exactly.
feels like when you dive and you like shoot someone in the leg, and they're like, "Oh fuck," you know, like it works because it feels realistic. You're diving in slow motion, which kind of heightens like the reality a little bit. In
Right.
this, these niggas take so many bullets, and then they eat bullets, and then not only that,
Bro,
but
if you're not headshotting them, they take like you'll dive a full dive and they'll just be like,
yeah,
I'm like, bro, you
I'm
got
just like,
shot
what?
30 times.
It doesn't make any sense. And then there's and they make it even worse with the fucking minigun niggas, right? That come out.
Bro, you're shooting
And
crossbow explosives and shotgun shells at them, and they're just like, and you have to wait for them to run off
what?
and then fall
Yes!
down so you can do the QTE event
The
to fucking
finisher.
kill them. Starting off, we will introduce this month's game with the scripted segment, giving you all the details, and then we will go into our unscripted thoughts about the game shortly afterwards. I'm Sondi, and with me always is Bendezzer. So without further ado, enjoy.
Wet is a third-person action shooter released in 2009, developed by Artificial Mind and Movement, now Behavior Interactive, and published by Bethesda Softworks. Known for its grindhouse-inspired presentation, Wet mixes over-the-top gunplay with acrobatic movement, giving players a stylized cinematic experience that feels pulled straight from a B-movie fever dream. You play as Ruby Malone, a tough-as-nails bounty hunter who takes on violent jobs in the criminal underworld. The story kicks off in San Francisco with a seemingly straightforward job: retrieve a package for a shady crime boss named William Ackers. But after completing the mission, Ruby is double-crossed and left for dead. That betrayal sets off a globe-trotting revenge tour. Ruby hunts down the people responsible, uncovering a deeper conspiracy as the trail leads through Texas, Hong Kong, and Europe. The plot is thin, intentionally so. It's less about nuanced storytelling and more about the attitude, much like the grindhouse films that inspired it. Between film grain overlays and stylish health replenishing cutscenes, Wet makes no apologies for its throwback tone. But what really sets Wet apart is its commitment to movement. You don't just shoot, you dive, wall run, and slide through firefights in slow motion. The game rewards you for chaining acrobatic kills, combining movement and gunplay into a rhythm-based system where standing still is practically punished. The split targeting mechanic is a standout feature. While Ruby is mid-acrobatic move, the game auto-logs onto one enemy, letting you manually aim at another, encouraging fluid multitasking in every encounter. You rack up style points as you go, which can be spent on new abilities, health upgrades, and improved firepower. Combat is flashy and fast, and Wet tries to keep things fresh with set-piece moments, like leaping across speeding cars during a freeway chase or slicing through enemies in a hallucinated, blood-red rage mode. These sequences attempted to help the game stand out from the pack of standard third-person shooters of its time. On the presentation front, Wet commits fully to its grindhouse aesthetic. The visuals are gritty and intentionally rough around the edges. Film scratches, jump cuts, and oversaturated reds and yellows dominate the color palette. The soundtrack leans hard into punk and surf rock, underscoring the game's chaotic energy. Voice acting includes Eliza Dushku as Ruby Malone, bringing a cool, abrasive edge to the character. Malcolm McDowell and Alan Cumming round out the supporting cast, adding a bit of theatrical flair to the villainy. It's all designed to evoke the sleazy, exaggerated tone of exploitation cinema, and while that stylization wasn't for everyone, it gave Wet a distinctive identity in a genre full of gritty realism and brown color grading, though there's plenty of brown here too. So as mentioned before, Wet was developed by Artificial Mind and Movement, a Canadian studio better known at the time for family-friendly handheld titles. Originally, the game was set to be published by Activision Blizzard, but after their 2008 merger, Wet was dropped from their lineup. Bethesda picked it up in 2009 and fast-tracked its release just 5 months later. Despite the team's lack of experience with console action games, Bethesda put real weight behind the project. securing high-profile voice talent and marketing the game as a bold new IP. The marketing leaned heavily on the game's stylized action. Trailers played like vintage movie previews, and Eliza Dushku's presence was front and center in the ad campaign, framing Ruby as a no-nonsense, gunslinging anti-hero. But what had stiff competition? It launched in September 2009, surrounded by blockbuster releases like Batman Arkham Asylum, Halo 3 ODST, and Marvel Ultimate Alliance 2. That made it difficult for a niche AA title to grab attention. To add insult to injury, critics were split on the game. Visuals, soundtrack, and fluid combat were praised in its early moments, but repetitive level design, underdeveloped enemy AI, and clunky animations eventually wore thin. Some appreciated the game's pulpy charm, others found it messy and shallow. The reception was lukewarm, and the game struggled commercially. A sequel, Wet 2, was in early development, with reports suggesting expanded traversal mechanics and better AI. A prototype existed, but the commercial underperformance of the first game led Bethesda to pull the plug. The franchise was shelved, and Wet 2 never made it past the drawing board. Today, Wet doesn't quite qualify as a cult classic, but it does have its defenders. It occasionally shows up in retrospectives and underrated action games lists, remembered for trying something different at a time when many third-person shooters were playing it safe. Ultimately, Wet stands as a reminder of a time when publishers were still willing to take risks on weird, stylish action games, even if they didn't always land. Much like the Grindhouse films it channels, Wet's low-budget and style-over-substance approach cost it mainstream success, ending up where B-movies and AA games like it often do, not forgotten, but buried in back of the rack. Episode 3. Wet. Where? Give me that wet. That's so funny. Why is it so hard to start these sometimes? No. So episode 3. When did you first hear of? When did you first hear of Wet?
I first heard of Wet on the Xbox 360 marketplace when the demo dropped in 2009. I played the hell out of the demo, and I was like, I need this game. This game is so cool. And I never got it until recording this podcast.
Yeah. So 2009, though, it's 6 years, or that's 3 years after the PlayStation 3 launched. Okay. Yeah, so that's pretty early on. You can also tell how early it is in that generation because of the style of box that it has. It has like the spine on the box. Yeah, the OG, the Spider-Man 3 text, essentially. Yeah. I feel like that time of the PlayStation had a bunch of experimental, but also like, what do you call them? Like not niche, gimmicky. They had a lot of like gimmicky games, like, oh, here's Lair. You know? That's
the first game I thought of when you said that. It was that or Heavenly Sword, where I was like,
Heavenly Sword is actually pretty straightforward. It just has like the HD high fidelity graphics, you know, I guess for that time. But it feels like a PS2 game from what I remember. Like there's nothing, just more cinematic. Which
I remember that being one of the ones with I just remember that's one of the ones with the pressure triggers and stuff like that. Like if you press the buttons or like gyroscope, I forgot what it was. It was something weird with the controls. It's like the bouncer on PlayStation 2, but for PlayStation 3. I don't know. But there's a lot of weird games around that time. I think that's back when everybody was still experimenting. It's still allowed for that weird experimentation because there wasn't the homogenization of third-person stealth cover shooters or first-person walking slow narrative first. Like Call of Duty at this point was just becoming the juggernaut that it is today, but it was still just like, that's an anomaly. Like the trends of that were just starting. And Wet for me, I feel like is a game that is undeserving of its underrated status. Mm-hmm. I feel like it deserves a remaster or even just a re-release, or just putting it on future, like on a backlog of, I don't know, PlayStation Plus Essentials, the little streaming PlayStation 3 or Xbox, whatever mobobbers. I feel like it just needs a second life or a second push or a PC port to push it into the ether so that people could understand what this is. This game feels primed to be one of those God Hand games. That's sounds kind of crazy hyperbole starting the episode like that. I know.
I think my experience with Wet is a bit I think it's a bit different. I remember the PS3 era, the Xbox 360 PS3 era was sort of when and I've mentioned this before on previous episodes, it's sort of where I really like got into gaming and bought way more releases. Like I was like, by the time the PS3 Slim, came out, when, the PlayStation sort of changed its font style to a more like smooth looking I guess aesthetic. That's when I like really like was picking up games left and right, and had my own income as well. And I remember picking up Wet. I guess the main thing is that like the cover of Wet always turned me off.
That's
crazy.
I remember seeing it. That's crazy.
I remember seeing it on the shelf, and it's just like the style. Like the style of Wet is just so, it's a very specific style, and it's not a bad style. It's just not one that I'm particularly into, Like if you can think of a style in your mind of pretty much anything, of film or media at large, there's a style I'm sure that you're just like, yeah, I just don't really fuck with that kind of style of it,
Yes.
It's not a bad style, like per se, but it's just like when I see that style, I'm just like, I don't really care, like I don't really like it. So Wet style was like that sort of, I don't know. It felt like walking into like a bicycle, like a biker bar, like that. Like I looked at that cover and I'm like, nah, like I don't give a fuck. Like it just like to me, I see that cover, I'm just like, rednecks. Like that's what I think.
That's such an astute observation, bro. I really like that, because that does describe like the game, bro. Because like at a first glance, you're like, ew, Slo-Mo, swords,
no, that shit is cool. Once you flip it around and see like, oh, okay, but like the cover on its own, like if you didn't know, like her. And
it reminds me of what's that game, like Sniper Ghost Warrior, or like, no, is it like Rogue Agent? I forgot the name of it. It's got not John Claude Van. It's got some famous dude. I think Steven Seagal. It's like it's like Rogue Warrior or some shit like that. I can't remember the fucking name, but like,
okay,
it does have that vibes where you look at it and you go like, oh, this is some Mercenary 2 like fuckery going on. Like this is probably some bullshit. Let me not play this.
Yeah, it feels like it's trying really hard to be like edgy or something. Like there's something about it that feels very like try hardy. Like
right.
It's kind of like the cover of I want to say Shadows of the Damned. Is that what it's called?
Yes, with from Suda 51 with the dude with the gun that can like talk.
Yeah.
It is in that same ilk where it's like this just looks very generic. Like
yeah, like it's generic, but also like really overly designed. Like Ed Hardy. Do you remember Ed Hardy? Like it's just Ed Hardy, the cover. And I just like didn't want. I was like, nah. So
I'm not playing this.
So ultimately, I did pick it up at one point, and I think I played it for a little bit, and I was like, yeah, this is cool, but I think at that time I was just looking for something of a higher quality, because I had played some like games like I think by that point I had already played like Uncharted 2 on PS3. I had played Killzone 3 and just some other things that just were just like of a better quality, like more polished. And I was just like, this is not it for me. Yeah. So, but I don't remember like a lot of it, so playing it again, adding it to back of the rack, I'm like, okay, let's see what this game is actually about. Like, let's see. Like, let me give it a chance, And obviously, the style isn't exactly, what the cover might make you believe, but it's still like a lot of that is still there. I think too, as like my tastes, sort of developed in things, with like grindhouse cinema, watching, Tarantino, watching Robert Rodriguez, understanding sort of like that flavor, that sort of like exploitation-esque sort of filmmaking style. as I started to sort of like absorb that and sort of understand like what this game was going for, I started to kind of have a retrospective of like, oh, okay, well, I kind of understand what they were doing, and I think I can come to a place now playing it where I appreciated more of like the artistic attempt to be like this, cinematic or low budget cinematic sort of exploitation kind of style.
Yes.
But at the time, yeah, I was like, I don't fucking like this,
Yeah.
It's, I
Plus,
don't
he
know.
was a kid,
Yeah, I was. I mean, I thought I was like early teens. I was 2009. Actually, I was about to graduate high school, so I think I
Bro,
was.
every time you say this, it makes me go, "What, bro?" Because
Yeah.
I be forgetting that you're old as fuck.
5 years apart. We're 5 years apart.
I'm like,
When
bruh,
I was graduate, I was out of high
13.
school. Yeah, I was out of high school. You were going into high school, so we just had a whole.
bro. I was going into 8th grade, bro.
Yeah,
That shit is crazy.
I was
Old
class
ass
of two. I was class of 2010.
That's crazy.
So-
That's the first year I went into high school. That's crazy.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, that's what I'm saying. But anyways, so yeah, like as a late teen, yeah, your mind works differently. You kind of have a specific thing. Like, you're still learning of your tastes and stuff, but they're sort of setting in some way, And it takes, I think, a different kind of person to open themselves up to like new forms of things. But I was very much into like the Japanese-ness of things, Advent Children, fucking Tetsuya Nomura shit, just like anime at that point. So seeing Wet, I'm just like, nah, this shit fucking look gay as fuck. Like, nah.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. There's a game called The Outfit on Xbox
Yes.
360, and I always thought that game was super cool, but I never, the same situation as Wet, I just never copped it just because I was like, if I'm going to cop a game, I'm going to cop
Right.
Tales of Symphonia, Dawn of the New
Yeah.
World, or
Yes.
fucking, I don't know, Drakengard 2. I'm not going to cop The Outfit. Like, first of all,
Yeah.
they're not going to let me because it's rated M. I'm a child. Second of
Yeah.
all, I'm not going to cop this because I'm not going to get this little shooting game when I can get JRPG that I know is going to last me 30 to 40 hours. I wasn't thinking about hours back then, but this game is going to last me compared to this game.
It's a anime bias or a Japanese media bias that I had, So yeah, of course I was like, nah, I don't want to play this. Now,
It's
obviously,
back when
as
it
an
was
adult-
cool.
Yeah, exactly. Well,
Before it
what
was
was
too
cool?
cool.
Anime? Oh yeah,
Yeah. Back when
yeah. Because
people
I'm like
used to,
now it's like mainstream.
yeah, back when people used to stuff your head in your locker and be like, look, he reading hentai. And it's like, bro, it's just Naruto, bro, please. Like,
Yeah.
That's back in those days.
Yeah.
So
yeah. But yeah, so that's kind of my experience with it. I remember seeing it a lot on the shelf. I remember it was usually always pretty cheap. It was like one of the cheaper games. I remember like, there would be those like buy 2 for something, buy 2 for 30, and I would always pick it up and I'd be like, nah. I wouldn't even like include it in like, no, I don't want to play this.
yeah.
But like there's a point, and I think that happens a lot with people at that age where it's like you just want to play the new shit. You want to play the current shit. And that game, when I had a PS3 and I, like had my own income, that just wasn't in the lineup of like, this looks next gen, because it doesn't.
It doesn't at all.
Even by its own like standards at the time, like there's criticism on how it just like,
Yeah.
nah, it just looks ugly.
And I think also, because you're right, because that whole PS3 era, and I think this is a changing. I don't know if it's just because we're older now and we're collectors and stuff like that, but it was back in the day too. I was like, no, if I'm getting a PS3 game, I'm getting a brand new PS3 game or a guaranteed like an Infamous 1 or Uncharted or something like that. Whereas like I know this is of good quality compared to like I wasn't picking up Time and Eternity off the shelf and being like, I'm gonna cop this. Like, if it wasn't one of the greatest hits or had a red box, I probably wasn't getting it once I got a PS3 towards the end of its cycle. Because it's like, there's a certain level of like the triple A-ness and even double A and single A indie space, that was all like relegated to Xbox Live Arcade to me. So if I was going to take a chance on a game being different or being something that I wouldn't normally play, I would get it on Xbox Live Arcade. If it was like going to the store and buying a physical $60 game, it has to be worth the AAA $60 price tag back in that day.
Yes. Even though I had money, my own spending money, I was still very much aware. Like, I can tell that Time Shift or Haze, these just don't look like quality. I look,
right.
And then like you see the price and then you see the back. I'm like, this just doesn't even look like it'll be worth it. So
I'm not playing Brothers in Arms and fucking what's the other one? I just played Legendary. That's the other crazy.
Legendary is one. Yeah, I was like, this cover looks cool, but I don't know about this. Like, you take a lot of risk, So I kind of understand why a lot of people now don't play a lot of older games, but that's also why it's fun to go back to some of these. But let's go into presentation. Let's talk about the look, the UI, the art direction, the graphics, the music and sound. What are your thoughts? Give me all your thoughts first, because from what I understand, you're pretty horny over this game.
Horny that's an exaggeration.
From what I understand, you busted out the lube. You turned this game around.
Smack the ass a little bit.
Smack the ass.
I have a question for you first, because this kind of scared me when we first started talking about this game. What is your opinion on the music? I want to hear your opinion on the music first.
The music is of very high recording quality. I think the music itself is just not for me. I'm not into like rockabilly, surf rock. I'm just not into that music. And again, that's why I'm like walking into a bar. I'm like, I hear this, I'm just like, oh, this is a bunch of racists about to pop up right now. Like, oh, what, you're Mexican? Like, the music doesn't elicit like there was one song in there, like, you know what? All the songs did fit a lot of the scenes. Some were a bit too like just raucous for me. Like they were too chaotic. Like the first, too chaotic. Yeah, like some of them were just too much, but I will say that I really appreciate the amount of restraint they showed with a lot of the music pacing. Like, there's moments of quiet that they just sort of let breathe. Like you can have like an arena, and you'll be fighting all these guys, and they'll have the craziest fucking rockabilly, surf rock, prog rock, whatever it is, and then it'll just cut out. Yeah, and then it'll just like cut out. And then I'll just leave you there, just quiet, walking, doing some platforming, kind of soaking in what little ambient like sounds there are. I really appreciated that. They could have just been like balls to the wall, constant fucking rockabilly music throughout the whole thing, but they were just like, no, just for those key moments that need that extra oomph.
I really throw it out there.
Very, very thought out.
Yeah, I like that each arena had their own like theme song, pretty much. And you could tell from each one, like, oh, okay, this one's the one for this one. Like, kind of just, it sets the tone and the vibe of each one, especially because it's a globe-trotting adventure. I like that even though the soundtrack is very, I don't want to say samey, because there is some very different tracks, you get a certain vibe with each location that's told through the music. And I thought, I'm not a rock dude, but I thought the music was really, 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 really good. I thought that this might be runner up for not Back of the Rack of the Year. I'm sorry, bro. That's a hyperbole. Soundtrack of the Year. That's what I meant to say.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. My hype and my was vindicated playing this game. There's this particularly, of course, the one track that was stuck in my head for years. The "Baby, You're Driving Me Insane." That song is really, really good for like an intro track. And then there's another one that sounds more so like Prodigy a little bit towards the end section, I believe, with I believe is in the ice block section that I thought, and it'll be playing right now while we're talking, but I thought that scene and that particular song fit really well, and it was a little bit different from the rest of the tracks. It felt like a different genre. It felt more modern than the rest of other tracks fail. Like you said, they're very dive bar, like weird karaoke song sounding a lot of the time. And you don't really get that a lot of the times when it comes to games. Like other rock eccentric soundtracks that you can think of, like, for example, Dynasty Warriors.
Oh,
I'm sorry, I had to bring it up. Call you guys.
No, the music from Dynasty Warriors, though. Bring up Dynasty Warriors all you want. We love it here, but like the music from Dynasty Warriors, you and me, I don't like it.
Okay. I just had to make sure. I love the music, but the most non-number. Like, I don't care when they, like, every time you load up the screen and they're like, "Oh, this is from Dynasty Warriors 4, this stage." Like, I don't give a shit.
People love the music, and I'm just like, it's why?
Like, the only one I like
generic.
is the level end song. That's the only song I like in all of Dynasty Warriors.
The level end. When I'm done playing the game, the credits song.
Yeah, that little dun, 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 that's in every game. I like that. That's the only thing I like. Everything else, I don't give a shit. I guess it's because, but like you said, it's very chaotic, and it adds to that chaotic nature of shooting and slow-moing and going through everything like that. And those reprieves do allow you to catch your head and, look for secrets, even hearing the secrets. I like the noise audio cue that they give for finding the secrets, with having the monkey clap louder and louder the closer you get to it. I thought that was a really cool element.
Oh yeah,
Most secrets, they just let it go, and you'll just be like, "Oh, you didn't find it." But I like that it wants you to find the secrets.
Yeah, and for people that might not know, there are, this is a classic, a video game trope, but there are secrets in each level. The secrets are embodied by little clapping monkeys. Those monkeys with like the red vests and all that, and they're hidden throughout the level, and you can like hear their little cymbals clashing as you're approaching, its proximity and stuff. It's a nice touch. That monkey is like
ugly as shit, bro. It's terrifying.
Yeah, there is a monkey motif that is kind of it feels like it should be more prominent. Like it was in a different iteration of this game, and this is like they kept some of the bones of it, but I'm like, what's the point exactly here?
Maybe because she swings around a lot.
Yeah, like, is she like referred to as Ruby the monkey? Like, I don't like, they never say anything, so I'm just like, okay, I don't know.
Yeah, maybe for a future sequel they would have elaborated on that more or something like that.
Yeah,
or maybe it was just she just resonates with monkeys or something. I don't know.
Or I don't know if it's like a Grindhouse staple, which I couldn't find anything on like the visuals of Grindhouse. Like a monkey was like a common thing, so I don't really know.
It needs a monkey if it's Grindhouse. Yeah, it needs a monkey.
And it's a monkey with a cigar, It needs a monkey with symbols. Let's go back and talk about I guess since we're talking about music and sound, we can talk more about that. Let me tell you though that while I didn't like the music, it wasn't bad music. It's just not my preference. Yeah, it's just like not something that I would listen to, but I think
save
it's
it for
used.
A status check, but I know what you mean when it comes to rock music. It doesn't hit.
Yeah, it doesn't reach like any part of me. Like it enjoys it. Sadly, I'm just like, I don't really care about this. Like, just next song. But it's not bad. I'll tell you if it's like a bad rock song. But like everything is, sounds great, instruments and all that, and I think it fits every scene. Every scene, like, it fits with everything they're going for. You just have to really like the style and the music for that all to coalesce and be like, this is my shit. And I imagine it's somewhat like, what like if you don't like hip hop, Samurai Champloo is not gonna hit. Like if you don't like that style, you know what I mean?
Ooh, that's a great pull.
You're just like,
I don't really gonna talk about that when it comes to Samurai Champloo. Yeah, if you don't like it, you're just gonna be like, this is a generic ass samurai anime.
Yeah, like I don't really like, I don't see what's special or cool about this, Although I do think that what's cool about Samurai Champloo, and I feel like we talk about this so much, but is the fact that it's two contrasting sort of ideas in some sense. Like hip hop in Edo period is not common. That's not like a trope. I mean, maybe it is now, but it never was. Rockabilly with Grindhouse feels very like those two things. That's the thing. Yeah, it's not.
It's like cyberpunk and electronic music.
Right.
Like,
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
have
It's
to have
perfectly
that.
fit. Whereas, the Japanese Edo period and hip hop are like, I don't know, peanut butter and jelly, or like, no, not peanut butter and jelly. What's like a more, it's like an apple and peanut butter, where you're just like, you wouldn't particularly think that those two things might go together, but they do. But it's not common, I guess. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Wait, have you had apples and peanut butter?
I have a peanut allergy.
Whoops. Okay, well then it's like fucking, milk, French fries and a milkshake. I
It's like
guess.
it's like ranch and chicken wings. Ranch and blue
Okay.
cheese and chicken wings. You wouldn't think
Okay, yeah.
I'm gonna dip my chicken wing in ranch and or blue cheese and it'll be delicious. But it's delicious.
Yes, it is. Yeah. So, yeah, I guess it's kind of like that.
I was staring at you like I don't know.
I didn't know. Yeah, that you would. Yeah, damn. God damn.
Life.
Yeah. But yeah, so I feel like the music is definitely good, and your mileage will vary on it and how much you like it. So I don't really have any criticisms about it there. I will say that the loading screens of when Ruby's like in an elevator or she's waiting on something are pretty cool, because the composer Brian LaBarton, he played the harmonica for those scenes where she's playing the harmonica on the elevator, and I think that's just a really cool touch. It's clear that he has a lot of love for this music and this style, and I think it comes through in a lot of different ways with their music choice. Which I think sometimes the music in some way feels like it got more time to be as polished and as like high quality than the actual game itself. It almost feels like this is an album and let's make a game around the album.
And what's crazy is that this entire soundtrack was made in 4 days. Like once they gave him the like green light to say you can do whatever the fuck you want, this is the style we're going for. He got all his people in one room for 4 days, and they just went to town and made the soundtrack. And it's just, I don't know what it is about the soundtrack, because maybe it's just because they recorded them in isolation and they're treated as like licensed songs in the game.
Yes, they are.
Like they get their own full credits and everything, their full like rise. So it's like it's a soundtrack specifically for like a movie compared to a video game. I don't know, because like it's weird because there's like you said, there's money in this game, but then there's not. Because speaking of audio and everything else going along with that, like the guns sound like ass. They all they all suck. Like the main pistol that you have has the most generic stock gun noise, and you have to listen to that incessantly for the entire playthrough. Luckily, I mean it's a 6-hour game, but it's still 6 hours of.
Yeah, I'm glad that we both agree on the sound effects. The quality of some of them is just the pistol gun shot stock sound is just like it doesn't even change based on the acoustics of the environment you're in. It's just like this flat, and because you're holding down the pistol button or whatever the trigger button for so long, it just gets really grating. And it's sad because it's one of those little things where I feel like this game sometimes is like death by 1,000 cuts. It's like a bunch of little things that sort of take away from what could have been a way more enjoyable experience in some sense. And that's why I was telling you that I was mixed on it, because like there's just like little things like this where I'm just like, what? This is just kind of like just holding me back from fully like enjoying it, because now I'm like, now it's the music. Now it's the sound effects, and now I gotta turn this bitch down.
Now it's the gameplay.
So these things sort of like start to pile up, and even like the voice acting. I feel like the voice acting has some people that I'm like, what? Like Alan Cummings is in this. Alan Cummings. A lot of people might know him from Spy Kids. He was Floop in Spy Kids. He was Nightcrawler in X-Men. And he played some really other incredible roles that I can't think of, but he's a really good actor and he does a voice in this, but it's like The voices are, they sound so flat. They sound so like muffled. They sound so like they're not mixed properly or EQ'd. So they
Yes.
sound like a lot of the time like it's like they took one take from, and the mic was in the center room and they were like standing in a corner, away from the mic. I'm just like, what is this? So like the cutscenes lack the punch, and it's they have someone else too. Malcolm McDowell is another like heavy Hollywood presence. He's the guy who played I forget the dude's name, but he was in A Clockwork Orange.
Oh,
He was like the main guy.
Eckers?
No, I don't know who he played in the game, but I'm saying that Malcolm McDowell has played, the guy from, I think his name is Alex in A Clockwork Orange, which is one of Stanley Kubrick's. Yeah. So he played one of those rapists. And so yeah, they have just some really like strong voice actors in this, and yet none of it comes through. Like none of it's executed on this level that it needs to be executed. And it's just, I don't know, it's kind of weird to me. Like it feels like what could be a good game sloppily handled, or just like, fuck, we can't, like there was no one to be like, maybe we should get some new takes on that, or maybe we should go through and polish up these cutscenes, at least the audio and maybe the gun sounds, and it could all be due to budget, but
then they also hired Hollywood actors for all of the roles, and they also got a full license soundtrack.
Yeah, so it's just like I just think some bad decisions were made ultimately.
Because I believe Ruby at least sounds good. Like Eliza, how do you pronounce her last name? The girl from Buffy. The girl from Buffy does a really good job at playing Ruby Malone, bro.
What? Yeah, how do you say that last name?
I don't know.
Yeah, Ruby definitely does the best, as she is the main character. But I do feel like the same audio issues plague her voice as well sometimes.
She has a lot of scenes. Yeah, like during gameplay, you can definitely tell when she's yelling like a one-liner out. You can hear like, oh, she's all the way back here yelling it out. And you're like, bro, please, like, lean in a little bit. Like, it's okay.
Yeah.
Or maybe they just mixed it that way just to be that way. Maybe.
Yeah. I think they had some trouble with, like, the mixing for sure. I will say, though, that this isn't, like, an issue just in this game. I do remember a lot of PS3 games of that generation having weird mixing things going on, and obviously the PS2 had its own share of issues, but once we entered like the HD era, those issues of like stale deliveries, not including like or not accounting for acoustic spacing, like is the character in a room, are they outside, is it raining, like how does that dampen the voice? They started to have to take those things into account, but I feel like this game wasn't one of the games that considered that. They were just like, let's just do it old-fashioned style.
A lot of games, like, I think this is around the turn of the time where games are starting to be more Hollywood. So they started to live to more Hollywood standards. Because I think first game I can think of that like had the one I believe, it's weird to say Last of Us, but I know that there's a bunch of games that did it before this. But like the way that the Last of Us had like audio was atmospheric. If Ellie's over here talking, you can hear the echo, you can hear the reverberation, you can hear the faintness of her talking over here compared to a Joel or compared to anybody that you're fighting. You can hear the spatial audio of that, and it immerses you a little bit deeper in the game because it's not just like I hear Ellie, but Ellie's all the way over there. Like how, how certain games, how they'll just have some guy in your intercom that goes, "Her, you need to do this," so they can always just be talking to you. Like it doesn't do that. And Wet kind of does that a little bit, but it's not done it's not done well. A lot of the audio, other than the main like cutscenes, and you can tell which cutscenes had like more juice to them compared to later cutscenes. And I don't know if it's just because of the PS3 or Unreal Engine or whatever like that, but like a lot of the scenes, not to go off into graphics, we'll go off into that later, but like I don't know what it is, bro, but like when you see a cutscene and you can see that it's still loading in the cutscene, that shit annoys the fuck out of me. And like, I
Mhm.
don't know if that's also fucking with the audio because shit isn't loaded in to bounce the reverb or whatever off of it or something. I don't know, bro.
Yeah.
It's off.
This is um cuz you just got a PS3, right? So this is sort of
Yeah, the last
like
one I
how
got
many
a PS3.
PS3 games have you actually played on the
I,
PS3 that you
I played Super Acrobatic Rocket Power Battle Cars,
Okay, well that's yeah.
Sengoku Basara, Infamous
Okay.
1 and 2, a
Okay.
little bit of Uncharted 2,
Okay.
Last of Us, and Destiny, and Mortal Kombat 9.
Okay.
That's it. And
Okay. Yeah.
Battlefield,
So very
and a little bit of Battlefield 4. That's it. And then I moved on to
okay.
PS.
4.
I mean, I moved back. No, I moved back to Xbox One after that. So,
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah.
because
So
I
you
only
haven't had a
moved
lot
there.
of
Yeah.
yeah, the sound issues, the sound streaming and all of that. Yeah, they were pretty rough on the PS3. So I don't want to entirely be like it's this game specifically, but this is definitely a worst case scenario in sound,
Yeah.
or one of the worst cases, I suppose. But yeah, other than that, I do want to praise it for some of the feedback sounds. I think like when you get headshots and there's that like deep like you know, I feel like
Yes.
that was real. That made it more incentivizing to get headshots because like there was that nice like that nice feedback. The problem with that was that every other kill doesn't have, and this is sort of why a lot of games started like to incorporate a sort of feedback sound once you got a kill. I
Or
feel
even
like
hitting
maybe
something like hit
the
markers.
hit
That's what they
yeah
call
the hit
those?
marker yeah the hit markers, those started to become popular because just killing somebody and then just falling over like doesn't quite it just doesn't have a satisfying effect.
Yes.
And
Speaking of
so
Destiny, that was the game that made me realize that hit markers do play a big role as to why Call of Duty is
yeah.
a monopoly over the first person shooter. Because when you shoot somebody in Call of Duty or you shoot somebody in a Destiny, when you hear that
Hmm.
even Marvel Rivals, when you're playing Scarlet Witch and you're fucking auto attacking and you can hear every ping of every attack,
Yeah.
it feels good to do that. And when you're shooting two different people and you don't get any hit confirmation other than like a headshot or like the combo meter going up because you killed that guy,
Yeah.
it's kind of disheartening, especially because you're killing like 30 dudes every 10 seconds.
Yeah. And I feel like this game could have definitely, especially because this game focuses so much on the combat and killing people. That's pretty much like the main thing that you do. You have the waves of people that you're killing. The time it feels the best is when you get those headshots. Other than that, the kills kind of feel a bit flat. Again, I don't think that's an issue of the game. It's just like that time that it came out in, they hadn't developed that sort of design yet, that sort of feel. So like I don't want to judge it by
Negative
today's
Nancy.
standards because at that time it
Obviously,
wasn't that popular. Yeah.
I'm playing Monster Hunter right now. Obviously, this game is not Monster Hunter 1. But I mean, to be fair, how much do you think that the developer's pedigree played into why certain things, when we go about later with the graphics, just off-roading right now, but because Artificial A2M, as they're known, this is their first original IP. Before this, they were making like Dante's Inferno, the PSP version, or like Nintendo
Okay.
DS, Cory in the House. Like they were making like children's games and tie-in games, like the GameCube Teen Titans games. They made shit like that, and this is their first like HD full like 100% you got control of it game. And I wonder how that plays into effect because there's another game on the list, Naughty Bear, that they made that's very similar in jankiness.
Yeah.
Or even their main bread and butter nowadays, Dead by Daylight. It's a very janky game. It doesn't look good. It just has, a good premise and gameplay loop and everything like that. But it has the same issues. So, I mean, it could just be a studio culture thing.
Unfortunately, I do think that stuff like that boils down to the programmers, right? The people that design these levels and these systems. Do you know like what tenure is, when a teacher gets tenure and they're just like sitting nice in a job and they can just kind of like
Do
do
whatever.
whatever. Yeah, that kind
Yeah.
of, it feels like that with some of these people at these studios where it's just like clearly you're not the best for the job, you're not even doing a great job at it, but you've been here for so long and you just do what we tell you, that there's no
Yeah.
point in getting any new blood to polish things up. Because I'm like, how do you create a game like this and not like your QA tester shouldn't he be like, yo, this feels, can we like go back, polish this? And maybe they're like, oh, that's about as polished as we can do. Our programmers can't do anymore. They can't
Yeah.
really. So, and if they're still doing shit like this with Dead by Daylight, which I think I've only played once, it's clear to me that they might just have the same talent.
And they're just, yeah, I
working on.
mean, Dead by Daylight, from the time that I have played it, when I was playing it very extensively, it is a very janky game. I'm talking like people were animation canceling, like putting down, like hopping over walls and stuff like that. It's gross.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, clearly they're not the greatest in that department. Wait, did I answer your question?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Tenure.
Yeah. So yeah, I think it's mainly because of that. You only get one shot, You only get one shot to create your own IP. It's pretty rare that a studio gets a second chance to fucking create a new thing and, go at it again with the same, like you really only get one chance, and I feel like this was their chance. And after that, they changed their name, and they probably got like either bought out or absorbed into another group of people or something, but I don't know. Did they leave their mark in some sense? I feel like I'm jumping the gun here on what I want to say about them as a developers, but I feel like
that's a deep question. We're gonna have to get to the end of it. We're gonna have to get to the bottom of that question by the end of this episode, because that is a big element as to my enjoyment of this game.
right.
So what did you think of the UI and just the overall look of the game? Because that main menu is very striking when you first start it up.
Yeah, the main menu looking sort of like a marquee sort of poster that you would see in a movie theater. Really cool design. It looks, I don't know what it is, but it just looked so fucking blurry and like muddy. I'm just like, why isn't this, what resolution is this in? Why does it almost just looks like an AI generated image. It's just so bizarre to me.
It feels placeholder.
I'm like, why isn't this more like just a little cleaner? And I don't mean like, it can't look scraped up and like beat up and like worn. Like, I mean that like those scrapes and those cuts and like, it just looks blurry. Like it's like 240p blown up, like to put over the image. Like, I don't know. I was just kind of struggling with like, when you die and there's that loading screen of the gun to the monkey's head with the cigar. That looks so low res. I'm just like, this looks gross. It looks like a blown up image from like what was maybe like a 48 by 20 pixel. Like,
yeah, I mean,
it's just weird.
Niggas were still on CRTs back then, so I mean,
that's what I was trying to. Yeah, I was thinking to myself, okay, 2009.
I still had a CRT. I didn't have a flat screen until 2012.
So a couple years later, yeah, the change was somewhat slow, yeah, but considering it, I think the back says that it's like 1080p to 720. I'm just like,
and it's also the film grain too, because it's a film grain on top of an already low res like image, and then you have this film grain that's just like chopping it up to smithereens, and it's already got that, like, I like to call it Vaseline filter over top of it. So you got Vaseline filter on film green filter on 240p
motion blur. Yeah,
it's a lot, bro. It's gross. It's an eyesore. Not gonna lie to you. Towards the midsection of the game, I just turned the like film grain off completely, and it's a prettier game without the film grain, actually.
Yeah, I turned it off probably like after the first level. The UI itself, I do like the main menu. I do like the way you navigate it, with the characters rotating. I think that's really, really cool and very stylish. But I do think that it's just overall, like the UI is just kind of ugly. Like I don't. everything from the shops to like your HUD. It's all just kind of like
Yeah.
it's like in universe or not in universe. It's like it's cohesive with the style. So I think it's still like a grade A, you know, because it's like all cohesive. It's just ugly though.
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
like it all like matches, and it's all like, okay, yeah, I can see how this
Yeah.
loading screen and this menu screen is part of this UI. Like it all fits, but it's ugly.
Yeah, I feel like it doesn't stick out as much. Like I think the one that looks the ugliest because it's out of place is the skill upgrade menu. And even like the
Mm.
like chapter in screen, it feels like it's like there's something missing. Like, why is it just a black background? Like
Yeah,
everything
yeah,
else is
yeah, yeah.
stylized except for this screen. And I get it, it's like a reprieval, but like it should be a little bit more stylized or something like that. You know, give me the little red background or something, the
You know what I
border,
thought?
something.
I thought that your that you were gonna go back to the scrapyard, your home base, and upgrade things.
Exactly. After every mission, and you can walk
Yeah,
around and do shit in there.
yeah. I like it sets it up as if that was going to be the idea, but you only go back to do those training or the challenges for each new weapon. But I thought like there was gonna be like Ruby like hanging out in there, and like you would maybe not be able to move her, but like the screen would be, you know, like the UI would be overlaid on top of like a wall, you know, and then that's where you kind of do your like upgrades, and Ruby would just be kicking
Yeah.
back, and then it'd be like next mission or, you know, ready, and then she'd get up and fucking jump out and then just skip to the next fucking level. That's really what I thought it was going to be, which would have been cool, and it feels like very of the time, but nah, it was just like a blank black screen with stars, and
Yeah.
it's a strange decision, but maybe
The
budgetary.
font
I don't
looks
know.
weird. The way that it pops up to be like, boom, this is the tutorial message. Like that feels like I get it, it's in the style. It does fit, but it just feels like it could be stylized better.
Yes, it's yeah. The execution you're talking about, it's just
Yes.
not. It's not there. The execution.
Yeah. Every time I look at it, I'm like, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just let me go back to shooting, bro. Don't jump up on my screen again, bro,
Yeah.
please.
I will say though that as far as art direction goes, I mean the grindhouse aesthetic is very unique to this. Not many games fully embrace like a specific style. I can think of like the Saboteur as like, oh, okay, going for a very specific style, like you know, or there's an indie game called White Knight, which is all in like black and white, but it's like it's very noir-ish, you know, black, white, and red. Sort of like when Ruby goes into her rage mode. It looks like
Yes.
that, you know, and
Yes.
it's very like 3-color palettes. It's super cool. So I can really appreciate the art direction here. Execution is a little like, you know, leads a little to be desired, like we're talking about with like, you know, some of the like UI elements. But I like the cuts to like the old film commercials, you know, which is very Grindhouse, because basically what grindhouses were is that they were low budget back-to-back movies, you know, at a low cost. So like people would go to these grindhouses to watch like 2-3 movies back to back, and they were just cheap and they were low budget movies, and that's sort of where the term sort of comes from, you know. So it's cool to see these commercials in between each stage, you know, even though they do look stretched out to fit the aspect ratio.
Yeah.
I'm just like, it would be cool if you just kept that, you know, the like the regular
Yeah.
aspect ratio. But I was like, this is so dope, like the cool like
Exactly.
old retro stuff. I loved it. I thought it was so
Yeah.
so badass.
It reminds me of a drive-in movie theater or something of the sorts like that, where like you get those like, and this is Peppers. What was it? The hot dog commercial and stuff like that. Like
Yeah,
you get those
yeah.
like advertisements before the movie, before the previews. Like that's what it felt like. And for what it's worth, everything looks. I have mixed emotions when it comes to the UI because it sticks out, but it doesn't stand out.
And this, like I'm telling you, the execution was poor. because they were doing something and they were attempting at it, but they just
Like
didn't execute.
it's almost there.
Yeah,
It's
it
almost
is.
there.
But that's so good that's like, yeah, like it stands, or wait, what'd you say?
It sticks out, but it doesn't stand out.
Yes, exactly. Like it sticks out. You're like, okay, but it doesn't quite like leave a best impression. Like, because I mean, the grindhouse aesthetic is already one of such, like, it catches your attention because it's so like, in some sense, it's sort of become bastardized, and sort of what do you call it? It's become a parody of itself in a lot of ways. With like Tarantino films and stuff,
Yes.
like
It's kind of like how
they've
cyberpunk is becoming now.
Yeah, exactly. Where it's like, okay, well, like you're kind of just doing like cyberpunk just isn't this. It's not just like like there's a wide gamut of cyberpunk styles, but it's all being condensed to just like this one
Neon
sort of
robots.
exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so it does kind of feel that way, but yeah, I don't know. I feel like the presentation overall, I mean, it's just
It's
it's
mid.
hard because
It's just
well,
mid, bro.
I'm you know what I'm thinking of too, of how brown the game is, and it's just like
Exactly.
it's
It
that
follows a
era
lot of the
too.
tropes of the era. It follows a lot. Like I said, like when you go through a cutscene and it's blurry and then it slowly gets like image back, or like how the background, like specifically, and it's like I've noticed this now playing a couple games, and it's like super infuriating, and I've never noticed this until now. How like there was always like a layer of blur
Yes.
on
Yeah.
everything. And it's like, bro, turn this blur off, and you can't do anything about it because that's how they mask the low quality textures. And you're just
Yeah.
like, please, I need this to like get the fuck out of here, bro. And
Yeah.
like we said, like it sticks out, but it doesn't stand out because like we were mentioning the red like rage scenes. That's the
Yes.
coolest the game is ever going to look. Like that looks cool, having her like everybody in all black, and then the
Yeah.
white be the blood with the red. Like that looks so cool. And when you have those sections, and I thought at first they would just be like secondary arenas where you just run and gun and kill everybody that's in your path. But you do have sections where you're platforming in rage, or you're doing arenas in rage. And each section that you're in the rage mode, it's super, super cool. And like
Yeah.
it's one of those times where like the gameplay's elevated. Like there's the one time where you're like having to jump around trains that are moving on an automation thing to get on the tracks in
Oh,
order to
right.
like they have cool sections like that but it has flair, but it doesn't have swag. It's like and we mentioned this before. Anno Mutatum. It reminds me a lot of Anno Mutatum, that game that we played forever ago.
Yeah.
Where it's like you can see the style, you can see the influences, you can see where it's trying to go, but it doesn't hit anywhere to where it's like for example, I'm trying to think of other games that are kind of more so inspired by Grindhouse. Speaking of Suda 51, a very Grindhouse inspired person.
Mhm.
No More Heroes.
Yes.
It's got that Grindhouse style, but it's also No More Heroes style. But it has those
Yes.
elements, and it has those
Yeah,
ideas, and it molds it and makes it into something that is its own. Whereas this feels derivative. It's like when you play a game that's based on niggas and they just put like hip hop, like 25 to Life, where there's just hip hop and graffiti and like the dude in the wife beater sagging his pants and the dude like you can tell where it's like you were trying something, but
Yeah.
you just Googled real quick, or you found a mood board and you were like, this is what I want, but I don't understand.
Right.
Like when people do like Y2K aesthetics and stuff like that, where they're like, this is what I
Yeah.
want, but it's like we don't understand why that was that.
Exactly, yeah. Like it's like Y2K wasn't even that really. It was like a little bit of that, and then like different eras sort of soaked in. Like it's I mean, I don't want to say like this game is soulless, because it's not. Like I wouldn't say that, it was just like let's just do this style just because. Clearly they loved this sort of grindhouse aesthetic and they really wanted to make a whole game out of it, and they love the culture and the music and the the cult following of this sort of look. But I just I just don't know. I will say though, to add onto the presentation, I will say that those cutscenes, which maybe you could consider gameplay, the QTE cutscenes. I don't know why. I just love QTE cutscenes. I know they got a bad rap, you know, but I enjoy
want to play my
them.
game. I don't want a QTE.
Right? Yeah. Like sure.
Cool.
What I think that the car chase sequences are well presented. You know, I think it's a on-rail shooter at that point, and you got some platforming that is just a cutscene with you pressing a button and a fail state. And I feel like that's a very simplistic form of gameplay, sure, but it was like super cool. And it was, I wish there was like one more, you know, car chase. Like I just thought it was like they were so badass, you know. And,
or if there was like
a
zip line or like
some other chase, like yeah. I don't know.
Yeah,
but it was
we'll talk
really
about it in gameplay. The only other chase scene was not fun.
But yeah, cutscenes. Yeah, again, those are okay. They get creative with some shots. They try to make it cinematic.
Speaking of the QTEs, did you see the unique death animations for each QTE?
Not for each one, but I knew that I could tell that there was, you know, different death animations depending on what, you know, the fail state was. Which is super creative. It reminds me a lot of Tomb Raider, where it's like you would die in these gruesome, like random ways. So, sometimes I'm like, damn, it's like you didn't have to do all that.
Yeah, like fuck Laura, right?
Yeah. What else is in presentation? I mean, we talked a little bit about the graphics, the music and the sound, the UI, the art direction. I think the Hong Kong level was probably my favorite visually, I would say. And that was just because like the neon lights, it finally contrasted the more gray brown of everything. And so the Hong Kong level like looked the coolest, that's for sure.
I like the train yard level.
Okay, yeah.
I like that one a lot. I like because that was the same one that had the ice room, right? Where you like shoot through the room of ice. Whichever level that was my favorite one. Where it was like you were shooting like fire, and like there was the ice blocks that you had to shoot through the freezer, and then you get to the train yard and there's like the ropes and you gotta like climb up the tower and the water, and there's like a giant waterfall in between.
Yeah, I think it is. I didn't know it was a train yard until the trains in that arena. And then I was like, oh, where? I'm like, where am I? Oh, okay, yeah.
They probably just put them just there just to be cool. Like, hey, bro, it'd be cool if there was some trains and you're flying around.
Yeah, there was actually a lot of criticism of the level design, which I kind of agreed. I'm like, some of these levels could have been way cool and added a lot of life to the gameplay, but
to be fair, every level is just a straight line into a combat arena, into a straight line, into a combat arena. That's every level goes through that, and you're never going to get anything that makes it stand out a little bit more, other than like a couple Prince of Persia-esque platforming sections.
Yeah.
But even then, those are linear because it's not like you can experiment and be like, I want to jump this way.
Yeah, definitely sort of half-baked, or just the platforming felt like they added it in there just because someone was like, we need to vary this up. We need to change the way you get from point A from point B. It's like, okay, well, what if instead of moving forward, well, what if you move up? You know, like, how about that, boss? And he was like, yes, let's do that. Let's have them just grab on some rails. But yeah, let's move into story, where we talk about the characters and the writing and the setting and the plot
and the
characters
and the writing, and the themes and
the themes. So this is at its heart a revenge tale. Apparently, I mentioned earlier that I feel like I didn't even. It's like I was watching myself watch this story. Like I just didn't even pay attention in a way. Like I don't know. Like the cutscenes are presented as if like, hey, you need to pay attention to this. But at some point I was lost with what the fuck was going on, because there's there's a point where Ruby is betrayed by something that she does early on in the game. And there's like a time skip where they're like, okay, this is happening now, but then this happened 3 years ago, but then this happened 1 year ago. And it kind of just threw me off. And I was just like, I don't really know what's going on. I don't know why she's getting revenge. Turns out she's getting revenge because she was hired by a client, and the client asked her to go get his son, and she did so, and she returned with the client's son, and the client kills the son, and they stab Ruby. They try to kill her, and she ends up surviving. And it turns out that the client wasn't really who they said they were, and that's her whole reason for trying to get back at them is because they tried to kill her. And
literally, that's it.
And I'm just like, that's the whole motive here. That's okay.
Yeah.
It's Grindhouse, so I guess it's supposed to be low quality storytelling.
Yeah.
Like
I kind of I referenced that this game is a lot like Crank or like a Machete.
Right,
Like,
which are Grindhouse in some sense.
Yeah. It's just like you have a story to where you have this stoic, badass, cool character that's just here to deliver one-liners and be a vehicle of violence. And then you have a story that has to be told as to why they're committing all these acts of terror. And
these acts of mass murdering,
right. And it makes sense. It's like she's an assassin. She got hired to do some assassin stuff, and now she's going to get revenge because they broke the assassin's code or whatever the fuck like that. That's cool.
Yeah.
That makes sense. I think it does set up at the end a cool little idea when like you beat the guy that was, I forgot his actual name, but and then you actually see like the actual actors, like the father that you save at the end, and he's like, I appreciate what you did, but you still got my son killed, so I'm still gonna come after you. So it's like they set up in a story to where you could see in an alternate Earth 2, we're on Wet 4 right now or something like that, and they had a whole storyline with the father maybe sending like Uncle Bluff or something like that to go beat her up or something like that, or you can see where they're trying to go with the story of like, okay, that cool lady, we unfortunately ran out of money, so we had to make that final boss fight a QTE event. But what if in the next game you have an actual battle with her and she's like poisonous or something like that? Like you could see where they tried a little bit, but the characters and the writing just feels off. Like the informers, there's 2 informants that you meet through the story. The Asian guy, the 2 Asian guys, and the Ming. The Irish dude.
And
I don't
remember his name.
Who fucking cares about them? They just are there to be like, Ruby, what are you doing? You shouldn't be. My best Scott impression.
Damn, that sounded Arabic. You sounded maybe Indian. I don't know. That's crazy.
You're gonna get 3 shots in the back.
No, he sounds Jamaican. That's insane.
That's what they sound like. Irish people are just white Jamaicans, bro. We talked about this. We talked about this with Sean, bro. We said, bro, you're just Jamaican, but white. Why you say tree?
Oh, fuck. That's right. That's right.
Expedition tree.
Poor Sean. So I feel like they could have, again, this is Grindhouse. I think that they could have done a little bit better. They could have elevated things a bit more. A revenge story isn't that hard to create a little bit of emotion,
But also you have to give Ruby emotion in order for that to make sense.
I just think of like John Wick or even Ellie in Last of Us or fucking, Kratos in God of War 2 and 3 where he's on a revenge. Like there's so much better ways to give her an incentive to do this. And also they introduce all these cool villains. And it'd be one thing if they had a shoddy like revenge story and it was to service these cool villain fight scenes or whatever, but they don't do anything with these like interesting villains. Like you see the old guy with the swords, and then you see the bodyguard, she's blind, She's like a blind assassin. And you're like, oh shit, there's gonna be like some badass fight scenes between them, or like we're gonna do that. And it's like, nah,
No,
nothing,
not at all.
nothing special. Like I was really thinking that we were gonna get some No More Hero type, like, okay, each level
boss fights
is for these crazy. No, nothing like that at all. You fight this like no name guy that tortures you for a second, and I'm just like, who's this? He came out of nowhere. What about the fucking blind bitch? Why couldn't she have been doing this and like that? Like, it's just. Yeah, the execution, man. The execution on
exactly, bro, is like, for example, okay, because you could tell this is obviously like, Kill Bill as inspired. Whereas in a Kill Bill, you have you got Angela Bassett. Well, it's not Angela Bassett. I'm sorry, wrong actress.
Vivica A. Fox.
Yeah, you got Vivica Fox, where you have like each of Bill's girls tell a different tale of why they're a cold-blooded killer, but at the same time of what they do after their experience being with Bill. Mm-hmm. Like her being a mother compared to her not being able to be a mother, or Lucy Liu being this crime boss when she wasn't able to get a footing or anything like that, or her being this, you get a certain dichotomy with each of the girls compared to the bride that allows for even understanding why they would take place in that attempted murder.
Yeah.
And why they went with what Bill said, and why they stopped going with what Bill said after the fact, or working with Bill still. You get that in the story on top of the reason why the revenge is being held. But it's like, okay, you did me dirty and you stabbed me. That's not enough to go murder the entire assassin world. That's not enough. I don't care how badass you are. You can't just be like, I'm going to just destroy the entire fabric of my work.
Yeah. Yeah. It also just seems like, for me, it feels like very, like, now you're just unlikable to me.
Right.
I'm just like, what? Like, I was kind of like, I thought she was cool at first, kind of like not giving a fuck. Like, oh, I'm going to bring your son back. And, she's just like, whatever. He's like thanking her in the beginning. But then it just sort of turns into what it turns into, a revenge tale. And I'm just like, Ruby, this doesn't even make any sense. Like, calm down. Like, it's just like.
And they keep telling her that in the story. They're like, Ruby, chill the fuck out, bro. Like, you've already gone too far, but like, chill the fuck out now, bro.
And you don't really feel like, you just don't even feel it anyways. Like her unraveling this whole criminal empire and her, killing these thugs and like moving up the hierarchy. You don't really even get that, but it's like, apparently that happens.
You know what it is? You know what it is? The one scene that pisses me off is when you go to the big informant guy or whatever for like Hong Kong, and you go through his entire like arena and gladiatorial thing, and you go through all this shit, and you just chop his fucking arm off, and he's like, "What?" Visibly, like, "What the fuck is wrong with you? Why would you chop my arm off? You killed thousands of people to get to me, bro. Like, why are you being an asshole?" And then she's like, "Bro, tell me 2 things you could have just simply asked." And like, he's like, "All right, bro, here." And he dies from like bleeding out from his arm and stuff like that. And it's like, why was that necessary, bro? Like, this guy is like inconsequential to the story. He's just here to tell you that this guy is here so you can go and do the same thing over there. Like, why couldn't the informants? You have 2 informants. Why couldn't they have done that? And then you have that one story with like the one informant, and he tries to like turn on her, and like, this is the one that poisons her so that she gets like tortured or whatever like that.
Yeah. It's like Ming's like friend that he lives with, who's like playing games like on his couch, and I'm just like,
why? He doesn't do anything. Like, if he was the one that gave her guns and be like, "Here you go, boom, I got some guns."
Yeah, like if it was Ming himself who did it, then that would have had way more impact than Ming's friend who says like 3 words
before this.
Like, it's just like, it's like, so is that supposed to be like a big thing? Like, and also, why not betray Ruby? Like, she doesn't seem like like what's like, where's the tension? Like, oh, they've been best friends since this. She knows this and this about her. They were, the friendship isn't even there for me to really care that she gets backstabbed, or like, I don't know. It's just, again, these death by 1,000 cuts.
Exactly,
like,
bro.
Fuck.
Because then you bring it up and you're like, I kind of like Ruby's character, but she's very one-dimensional. Like, she's just cool. She's just there to deliver one-liners and just be like a badass. And I like that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I wish that there was some characterization, because when you have her bouncing off these like really eclectic informers and like them, and you can hear like the performances of like, say, particularly like the Irish dude in the Ming, like both of their performances are really, really good. Even the actors, both actors, they have a really good performances. And then you get to the rest of like the villains, like you said, like they're bland. I don't even remember them. Like, do you remember that there was an Asian dude that like you had to kill in, I think, the second car chase? I don't even remember the reason why he was relevant.
I don't remember his relevancy, but I remember chasing him down and being like, who is this? Why was he's like introduced in that level in the middle of it, and then you kill, like, I don't know. It was just like, it was just something that frustrated me because I wanted to be more invested in it and I wanted more out of it, and the game insisted on being longer and, you know, giving more story. At some point I'm like, dude, I don't care who I'm chasing down. Like, who is this now?
Yeah, get me to the next spot, you know? So I can kill whoever.
Yeah, it felt, so there was that frustration from the story level. And I mean, sure, it's cool that you're taken to like Hong Kong and London, I think, and some other places. I don't even. Where else are you taken to? London, Hong Kong.
I don't know.
Where are you? Where are you?
It's irrelevant though, because it's like,
yeah, it really, yeah.
The game is built, and the setting is built to be a game first. Like, it's a game about a girl that shoots dual pistols and has a katana first.
Yes.
And then they put their groundhouse aesthetic on second. And then third, after that, they were like, okay, we have to flesh this out. Like, they thought of this, the gameplay style, then they thought of the aesthetic, and then they said, how do we make this work? And they kind of just had to go with whatever. Like, in the beginning, like, I'm not gonna lie, like the first intro mission into the like story, into the guy like pretending to be Ackers and telling her to go get the sun, I was genuinely immersed into the world of assassins, because I'm like, okay, she's not the only cool badass assassin with dual blades and swords and shit. Obviously, in this world, there's these two people, so I want to see more of that. Like, if we had like melee people that we fought or something like that, to flesh out the world to where it's not just she's this crazy lady with dual blades and a blade, and she feels out of place. Especially when you don't even get to fight the other two cool people. They just die in cutscenes. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. The world just wasn't fully, thought out, and its cool factor only carries it for so long, for sure. Like, the style of it, like, it's like you want to care, but then it's just like the game's like, no, we don't care. So you just keep going. Yeah, you just keep going. And it's like,
I will say the first 2 hours does have a very strong first impressions when you play it.
Yes.
Like, when you first are playing it, you're like, wow, this got some swag to it. This is cool. This is crazy. Like, I'm liking the upgrades I'm getting. This is really, really cool. And then there's a fall off point, and I would say that is, unfortunately, when you first hit Hong Kong, after you do like the hub world, pseudo hub world area with the challenges with the turn and stuff like that, and you get the actual job. Like, once you get Trevor and lead him to his death, that's when the game kind of falls off, because you've seen all that the game has to offer. From this point on, there's nothing more that the game can offer you that is like cool. Even the cool airplane scene, which I have to bring up because it's just chaotic. The fact that some lady says, I need you to get me this hidden treasure. She does, blows up a whole plane, skydives, grabs the treasure, and then she just goes, here's your fucking book.
Yeah.
This is it.
I think that's just that culminates the entire game right there. Because who was that lady? Why was she needed? Just to tell you that he's gonna be at this club so you can go do the next mission? She couldn't have just told you that? I had to blow up a whole plane?
Yeah.
Shit's dumb.
I do kind of wish it was more of just like, hey, do you remember that time you did this? Or, just like callbacks maybe to her past. Maybe that would have given us a bit more understanding, or given us more excuses to be like in crazy situations, because sometimes I feel like the situations didn't go as crazy as I wanted them to. Like every level, like I was always kind of thinking like, oh, what's the setup here? Like, okay, we're in this kind of island area, you know, like what's going to happen? And then nothing happens. You know, you get to the docks and you're like looking at the boats and I'm like, oh, is it going to be some crazy like chase scene or something?
Yeah,
on
where you're
the
riding
boats?
on a boat or like.
Yeah, and then nothing happens. And I'm just like, oh, what the fuck? I
Yeah.
guess, all right. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. They just never crescendo in a way where I'm just like, there's a build up here, and it obviously keeps doing that. And I feel like that's when I started to lose a lot of my
That's good. That's good because
like,
there isn't like
initial
a peak.
interest. Yeah,
There isn't
It
a
just
peak
kinda
at all.
like,
I would say the peak would be when she gets tortured, but like even then, like by the time that I like, it didn't even feel like I was doing the final mission or anything like that. By the time that I finished the final mission and the credits started rolling, I didn't even realize the game was over. I was like, oh shit, I thought there was going to be more by this
right?
point.
Yeah,
I thought that there were going to be
yeah,
at least a little bit more than this.
yeah.
I don't know. I
I felt the same way.
Yeah, it's there. Like the story's there. Like you can get something out of it. But in the same way that like, you know, you turn on a kung fu movie like Unbak or whatever, bro. Like, do I know what the fuck happened in Unbak? The nigga got his elephant stolen and beat the shit out of a bunch of people. That's the plot. It doesn't matter.
Right.
Nothing else about fucking Unbak. Like that's it. Like that's all that matters. And
Right.
that's the same thing with Wet. Wet is one of those games where if you skipped all the cutscenes, it would probably be a better game for it.
Or if it was just like mission based, as in like you look at a menu, take a contract, and go do it.
Yes.
You know, maybe something like that. I think, and I don't think that would have taken more resources. It would have taken less resources. Like, hey, just let players pick what like memory or whatever thing to call back and go to and complete, you know, to, I don't know. It would have been cool if maybe they started the game with her like being tortured and just be like, how the fuck did I get here? And then cut back to her at the yard. And then you can select, like, you can go to Hong Kong first to figure it out. You can go to London. Kind of like Alpha Protocol.
I was just thinking that. Like, full Alpha Protocol.
Yeah. So, yeah. Definitely. That would have been like a very Alpha Protocol kind of scenario. But
Yeah.
that would have worked. I feel like that would have been the ideal, you know, more interesting, like, you just figure out what you want to do. But maybe not. I don't know. It's hard to. It's easy to pick apart and say like this would have worked, and maybe they had that in the in the boardroom, but ultimately,
because
I don't think it panned
maybe
out.
that's what happened in Wet too. Because I do know that at least what they were
Wetter?
working. It was called Wet 2 Double Feature, and that was the whole like
Okay.
main gimmick, I guess, with the second game was that instead of one campaign, it was going to be two campaigns of completely separate situations that Ruby gets herself into.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah,
That
so
would've
I
made
was
sense
like,
with the-
I can see that where there's a future where Wet 4 or 3 or whatever like that, and then they have a bunch of DLC campaigns of just her doing bullshit or fuckery like Left 4 Dead. Like how Left 4 Dead 2 is like, it's a 5 mission structure and like, but there's really like 5 campaigns in like Left 4 Dead 2 or whatever like that have like their own crescendos and situations and vibes.
Right.
But they're really just four or 5 long ass levels. Like I can see a alternate reality where that was done for the feature games that are non-existent, that don't exist, that were canceled.
Let's go into gameplay. I understand that this was your favorite part of the game, so you give me your thoughts. I'm actually curious how you're gonna justify this.
Okay.
I'm actually curious how you're gonna defend this.
Okay. Have you played Prince of Persia: Sands of Time?
Yeah.
I would say that this.
Oops.
Okay. I would say that this game reminds me so much of Prince of Persia: Sands of Time in terms of the fact that you have like the platforming exploration segments and then you have the combat segments. Whereas and like they both have the exact same jink of like the camera's going to lock in on this one location so you can see how you're platforming, and you're going to do your wall run into the jump, into the swingy swing, into the. It has the exact same motions as Prince of Persia and the exact same flaws that Prince of Persia Sands of Times has. But the difference is that in Prince of Persia Sands of Time, you can just hold L and rewind if you fuck up. Whereas in Wet, if you fuck up, you have to reload from a checkpoint and do all the bullshit again. And it's really interesting because you're having like when you fight in Prince of Persia, you're static. You're on the ground, you're attacking, you stab the sand monster on the ground or whatever like that. You have that grounded experience of combat. You're not really jumping around. You might jump over a wall one time to do like the little wall attack, and then that's it. But in Wet, you still have the Prince of Persia as platforming of wall running and the stickiness and the floatiness of that aligned with the free flow agility that she has. And it's a weird mixture that oddly works really well. Because you have your John Woo, Max Payne, I'm shooting my dual pistols, I'm killing people, especially when you can aim at two different people at once and you're doing your combos and sliding in. It's like if you're doing good in the game, you're constantly in slow motion and you're constantly doing some weird acrobatic trick and constantly in a loop of shooting or killing or slashing or blowing up or switching guns or doing something cool. And that's what makes the game as fun as it was back then when I used to play the demo over and over and over again. And even playing through a full 7-hour campaign game of this, it doesn't necessarily get old, but it doesn't necessarily feel fresh. You know what I mean? It's familiar enough to where you can turn your brain off and just kind of enjoy it for what it is.
Okay.
Like,
yeah, the platforming itself isn't bad. I feel like I didn't mind it as much. It was so
serviceable. It's just exactly what you needed.
Exactly. There was only a couple times that were really frustrating in terms of like what am I supposed to be jumping at, or I keep falling here. I just don't understand what I'm supposed to be grabbing, or I'm not reaching this specific part. But I didn't mind the platforming because it did break up the combat, and I didn't mind the platforming mainly because of that, right? Like, it was because the combat, I think, at some point to me became so, like, I just needed a variety. I just needed something to switch it up. And I feel like the like platforming, I was like, okay, cool. I can just kind of walk around as Ruby, do this like little platforming. It never reached the heights of being as cool as like what you felt like in Sands of Time, where like you felt like really acrobatic or like fluid and just like,
yeah,
like you kind of felt like a fucking ninja or whatever. You're like, okay, this is cool, But for some reason with Ruby, it just feels like stiffer. I don't know if it's the animations. I don't know if it's just like the feel of it. It just doesn't really feel like she's like a
it's generic.
monkey like. Yeah,
it's
like
very,
it just feels
like, it's like how most Sony titles now, how every protagonist can somehow climb the yellow wooden blocks on the rock and like tightrope. Like it's like that's the moveset and that's gonna work. Okay, I can slide, I can jump and grab ledges and do a quick little vault. I can do a roll. Like you know what you're going to get out of it. It's like pseudo Assassin's Creedian, where you just know that it's a game where no matter what you do, this is it. The very first first combat room that you have, that's the entire game. And if you want that for an entire game, you're going to enjoy it. But if you want the game to evolve a little more, you're not going to get that, unfortunately.
Yeah. That's actually a really good way to put it. That's the main issue with the game, is that you really have to love the mechanics, and that's it. Like, if you're not already in love with the pistols, You know, you're only just going to get a couple of other guns. What, 4 other guns? And
Yeah, you get a
they
shotgun that
don't
works like a
change.
pistol, a machine gun that
Yeah.
works like a pistol, and a crossbow that works like a pistol.
Like, yeah, they all feel way too similar, even though they're very different. And ultimately, I used the pistol the most, but I did like the shotgun. Never use the submachine guns. I'm like, this is just so
It's
much
a waste of money.
more noise. Yeah, waste of my upgrade points. It just doesn't make any sense. So platforming was solid. It's serviceable. I just didn't feel like it really does feel like a bit of an afterthought because I feel like Ruby does some cool ass shit in like the cutscenes, like, you know, when she's jumping on the cars and stuff, and they never really transport that into the actual gameplay. You're just like grabbing a ledge, jumping from one platform to grab like a bar.
It's
like,
a lot of diving and sliding, sliding. Maybe a wall run if you're feeling daring, but like they give you the abilities. Like, don't get me wrong. If you like, I feel like probably in harder difficulties and score runs and time attack modes and stuff like that, you probably will have to use more of the mechanics in order to keep the chain going to reach those high scores if you want to. But the game doesn't really. It's not fun enough that I would want to replay it to score attack or anything like that. Like, of course, you can get upgrades where you wall run off a dude or you jump onto a wall and then you can jump and restart your jump and continue the combo, or you can slide into a upward slash or something like that. Like, those moves helped, but I rarely use them.
I think here's the, like, you're making a good point, and I want to add to it. I think here's a really, like, the nail in the coffin for this game. Slow motion is a very fun, cool looking, and like, it's just a really cool mechanic in games and in, you know, obviously for movies to some extent. But here's what happens in this game. The firefights are only in slow motion. What makes Max Payne cool is that, like, you can shoot outside of slow motion and like still get kills and it feel like, okay, you're still just as powerful, you know? And then you do the slow motion dive, then you do like the whole slow motion and it's like that extra, like, yes, now this is like my ultimate ability in some sense. And so, but in this, you're always diving, you're always in slow motion. So it ultimately loses like a special thing. Then it just feels like, I mean, for you to do any damage or to get health back, you're incentivized to literally constantly be in slow motion, constantly be in the air. And when you're constantly doing that, I think that after 2 hours, it's just like, oh shit, this is getting a little stale, you know? And you can't do that much. You can't do that. Like, there's a couple, even with like the sword itself only has one string of combos. You know, you can, like, later on you get like a sword swipe in the air, but it doesn't function as you might think it would. So you can't like vary it up and be like, oh, okay, I'm gonna switch to melee. Like, that's just a death sentence. Like,
you only use melee if somebody's right on you. If they're not right up on you, there's no point to try to melee somebody.
No, the best way to play the game is just to clearly always be in the air or sliding and in slow motion. And because you can always do it, it takes away from any meaningful impact of the act of going into slow motion because you're always in slow motion.
Exactly.
You know,
it's like,
and I think
it's like Fear. Like, Fear is another good example of a game that uses slow-mo, where the slow-mo in Fear is more reactionary because it is longer than Max Payne, but it's reactionary in your slow-mo where it's like, oh, I'm surrounded. They're throwing grenades. They're swarming me and flanking me from 2 different sides. I need to use slow-mo so I can get myself out of this situation and quickly dispatch a couple dudes. But also the slow-mo, and I think it also does it in Stranglehold too, or when you use slow-mo, the environment just explodes around you to amplify that slow-mo and showcase like you are doing some like death-defying things, and we're slowing it down to show you how insane the situation that you're in is. Like, I think Max Payne 3 does it as well too, where
Max Payne 3 does. That's all I could think about while playing this game.
Yeah,
was Max Payne 3, because they do the animation work on Max Payne 3 and the like slow motion and like what you can do is like masterclass. I feel like it's great pacing. He's not acrobatic, you know, and that could have been the main differentiator here with Ruby Malone, is that she could have had a lot more flexibility to do, you know, specific moves. But What's nice about that is that in Max Payne, you don't always have slow motion. You build up to it, but it's still available a lot of the time. It's not like you're never able to do it. You do rely on it, but you also get to fight in a more normal, like, hey, let me just,
shoot some people, yeah.
Be in cover.
Armia 2 has the mechanic where you like are back to back and you do the 360 and kill all the people around you. Like that's the only time that the game is in slow-mo. But it feels good as shit when you are in slow-mo.
Feels like it feels cool, yeah. So it's, I don't know, man. And I think that was like the biggest, when I was like, fuck, this is getting a little, no, you know what? I never thought it was boring. But I did think it was stale at some point. At some point, I was just like, okay, like, this is cool, but I wish there was more. And I don't want to keep doing this.
You know what this game is?
What?
This game is a rental core. Like,
yes.
This is a game that you get on a Friday going to Blockbusters. You pick this up alongside fucking, what is that fucking
R Racing?
Yeah, with fucking 9, that movie. What was that?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you pick up a fucking movie and the popcorn you put on the stove. And you just play, you get some beers and you play wet. And you return it on Monday and be like, thanks, man. That was fun. Yeah. Even if you don't beat it, even if you do beat it, it's 6 out, you just play it and you go, okay, that was fun. I liked it.
Yeah.
Cool. But I think because we own the game and then we have it, of course, with the echelon of all the other shit that we own, where we're like, I could be playing Wet, or I could be playing Ninja Gaiden 2, or I could be playing fucking Persona 4, or, any of the thousands of RPGs I have, or, there's so many other games that I could be playing that probably will hold me and probably be a better experience compared to a Wet. But if you rent a Wet, like that's crazy to say. Rent a Wet. Try to say that. Wet. Rent a Wet. Yeah, if you rent Wet, you would have fun with this. It's a game that is built around the idea that it's not something, or at least maybe. Okay, hear me out. We're about to give another hypothetical. Imagine if this game had an arena survival mode as like one of the challenges that you want. Like, what if that was just score attack mode, where it's a combat arena and the combat arena never ends and you just try to build a high score, like Resident Evil Mercenaries, where you just, the more kills you get, the more stylish they are, the more combos and multipliers it adds, bonuses to your time, and then you just go for as long as you possibly can. And so it's just all about chaining combos and keeping that combo chain as going as hard and as long as possible and as complex as possible. And I caught myself before I said it. And like, if that was was a mode that you would have in this game, I can see the replay value and the value of the game going up more, because it's like State of Decay. I mean, not State of Decay, State of Emergency. I still go back and play State of Emergency just because it's easy to just go in and play a 5-minute timed burst of State of Emergency and be okay.
I was thinking about our beloved franchise Dynasty Warriors, and I was thinking about, like, okay, why is it that I'm okay hacking and slashing away for hours on end, but this slow-mo shooting, I'm just like, I could really only do this for a little bit. Like, is slow-mo shooting really just so basic, I guess? Like, it's just aim and shoot, but like with hack and slash, I can, do more combos. I can play a little bit differently. I have more freedom of movement. Slow motion does slow things down inherently. So it does sometimes feel like the game feels longer than it actually is, I would say. But I guess like what I'm trying to get at is, what is it specifically about these two different gameplay styles that I'm able to tolerate one longer than the other?
I can tell you the answer to that right now. I can tell you right now. You like beat 'em ups. Dynasty Warriors technically is a beat 'em up. It's just that you're beating up 1,000 people. Because think about it.
Right.
You have the grunts, then you go into your little mini bosses, and then you have your big boss at the end of a stage. It's a beat 'em up. And even in the older games, you have like the peons. They fight back. Whereas, so you have that that signals. But if you take away the slow-mo, you take away the agility. If you put Wet in a spectrum compared to other third-person shooters, it's not a good third-person shooter.
Yeah,
Whereas
okay.
Fear or
I
Max
wanna
Payne, if you take
are
away the
good
slow-mo, they're still good shooters.
Yes, I love a good shooter for sure. I might like if you were like beat 'em up or shooter, I might be like depending on the shooter, man. I might have to take a like I love me, especially I do like a third person shooter more than a first person shooter. Yeah, the shooting in this,
It's ass.
I want to play Stranglehold. I want to play because I want to, from what I understand, Stranglehold is a lot deeper in its mechanics and feels. So I kind of want to, I thought Stranglehold, is it a boater game?
It is on the list. That is a very
Okay.
boater game. That is a very boater game. That is a game that everybody, I remember when the 360 first came out, I remember reading Game Informer, Game Pro. I was reading all the magazines and news articles and internet stuff, and everybody was talking about Stranglehold. And then a year passed and Halo 3 came out and nobody talked about Stranglehold for the rest of eternity.
That's how it goes.
It dissipated and nobody talks about it like at all.
Yeah, no,
and I feel
no
like
one
it's,
talks about it.
I mean, it just came out on PC. So, I mean, the border curse / prophecy is fulfilling. Just like Second Sight and Alpha Protocol. It magically appears online on PC.
I just feel like the game here, I don't know. I'm just trying to think of like a redeeming factor about this game, but I feel like it's just
I said it in my review. This is a good ass game if you don't got a bitch in your ear saying it sucks. If you
I'm
just
saying it sucks.
like if
I'm the one being like, just turn your brain off, right? Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah, like you just play a game and you're just like, yeah, it's whatever, you know. And it's like it's one of those games where it's like I don't want to say it's so bad it's good because it's decent. It's the most 6.5 out of 10 game I've played in a long while.
It's a 5 for me, I would say.
Yeah, even like, I would like, agree with you on that. Like a 5 or 6, I can agree with you.
No less, no more. Like definitely not any lower than a 5. Yeah. Like if I had out of 10 or 3 out of 5.
Yeah, it's very average. Like if you like it, like me, I was really high on it just because I just thought like, oh man, this is cool as shit. Like Ruby's a cool character, but I also experienced a lot of glitches. Like there was one glitch where I fell through the floor randomly through playing. That was just really awkward.
Me too. Forgot
there
about
was
that.
Like a lot of screen tearing and dithering that I saw. That was just really annoying and grinding my gears. There was AI
Get
problems.
Used to that. Get used to the screen. That's PS3 all day. Get used to that.
Fucking
Did you look over at your PS3 game?
Yes, I did. I did.
Dude, screen tearing is a very, very common issue with this generation of games.
I just bought Bleach Soul Resurrection and I wanted to play that game for so long. And I'm so afraid that it's going to be like ass or that like it's going to have some technical problems or look ashy or something like that. I'm like, oh man, I'm not ready for it.
It's... man. And what sucks is that there is a progression loop. Obviously, you get style points, and you can cash those in for all these things, but like none of it does anything.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm just like all these moves, and I'm like, oh, like at first, like there was a minute where I was like, oh fuck, am I going to be inundated with all these? Like Devil May Cry sometimes, where I'm just like, fuck, I'm not going to use half of these moves. Shit.
I'm just going to use
what's the
Stinger
optimal? Yeah, I'm just going to use like, what is the optimal like combo for like this enemy? Like, do I need to use this move? No. I unlocked pretty much everything, never used any of it. I tried to use like the sword slash, like when you're slow-mo diving, you can do the sword slash, but it immediately ends your dash in the air, and I'm like, why would I use this?
Yeah, like, and I forget that you can wall run or you can jump off of people or you can jump off of other platforms. So I'm just falling, and then because I would always do the dive into slide combo or the slide into dive combo, but it's like, when am I ever going to be diving into the enemy?
you're so averse to it. It doesn't make sense because
I'm either diving away from them or towards a wall to wall run or something like that. I'm not diving directly at somebody so that I can jump off them and then do a slash or like no. And this is the first game. Speaking of upgrades, this is the first game that I've ever seen that's had an aim assist upgrade.
Is that what that was? The reset thing? I was so confused about that. I didn't get that upgrade. There was like a reset your aim or something. I was like, I don't know.
So
what that
if
does.
you pressed in R3 when you were aiming, it would change the auto aim to whoever you were aiming at. So you would just press R3 and it would like cycle through all of the people around you. So if you were shooting at some guy back here and you were just trying to shoot at the one guy, you can press R3 real quick and then mow that guy down real quick and then go to the next guy instead of trying to dual target people and stuff like that.
Yeah. It wasn't a good idea though for there to be like, see what Max Payne does is that the people that you're shooting at have like semi-realistic health pools. You know, like they die with like 1 or 2 hits. And so it feels like when you dive and you like shoot someone in the leg and they're like, oh, fuck, you know, like it works because it feels realistic. You're diving in slow motion, which kind of heightens the reality a little bit. In this, these niggas take so many bullets, and then they eat bullets, and then not only that,
bro, if you're not headshotting them, they take like you'll dive a full dive, and they'll just be like,
yeah,
I'm like, bro, you got shot 30 times.
It doesn't make any sense. And then there's they make it even worse with the fucking minigun niggas, right? That come out.
Bro, you're shooting crossbow explosives and shotgun shells at them, and they're just like, and you have to wait for them to run off and then fall down so you can do the QTE event to fucking kill them.
You can only finish them with a finisher, which you have to activate. Like basically you shoot at them and then they go into like a stagger state and then they run off somewhere for whatever reason. And then you can go over to them and they press square to activate the little QTE finisher. That's the only way to, but if you're not near them or you keep shooting them, they will not die. You have to actually go over there to finish them off, which I'm like, don't.
Who's doing all that, bro?
Yeah.
Why are we doing this?
And then sometimes there's one finisher or one button press, you know, like with the finisher, like you'll press square and then maybe the next one will be triangle. But I've seen it a couple times where there's 2 buttons you press and I've missed it. And he'll just fucking like take me out. And I'm like, what the fuck?
I've done that sometimes where I think like, or I'll fuck up a animation the one time and then I'll go do it and they'll give me a different animation with a different QTE and I'll fuck it up again.
I'm just like, fuck this. Yes. I'm telling you, dude, again, like for me, this is death by 1,000 cuts, like for this game. Why I was just like, man, I am so mixed on this. Like
it has obligatory turret sections because you know that was the style at the time. So you get your
was the style.
Annoying turret section. You know you're gonna get the car chase scenes. They were really cool. Once I had to buy a new controller because I realized the third-party ass controller. I used the DualSense one. Like one of my DualSense had drift. And I found that out going on to putting it on my PS3. So I bought another PS5 controller. And I used that for my PS3 controller. And it's a markedly different game. Because at first, both of those controllers drifting, I was like, bro, I can't aim for shit. This car chase scene is ass. I was about to rip that car chase scene to shreds until I got that new controller. And I was like, oh, no, actually, this works. This is pretty good. I like this.
Yeah. Yeah, I use a PS4 controller for my PS3. So I usually, sometimes though, I don't know, it seems to be too sensitive for some games, so I have to use a PS3 controller. But you're saying you said you bought a PS5 controller for your PS3?
Well, I needed a PS5 controller. I needed a second PS5 controller anyway. But I found out that it had drift because I connected it to my PS3 to use as a controller.
What'd you do with it?
Dude, then I didn't throw it away. I just threw it in a pile of other controllers, like my GameCube controller that works when it wants to. Right. Yeah. You know, the ones where you grab and you go, I got a controller. Here, let me grab it. And then I got it. Oh yeah, this is why it's in this fucking bin. I forgot. It's fucking
Monster Hunter has me convinced sometimes that my controller, my right stick has drift sometimes, but I'm like, what the? I don't know. It seems so random sometimes.
Bro, why do controllers be drifting, bro? What's going on? And that, you know what it is? It's because they want to sell you Hall effect now. That's why, bro.
What is it?
That's the new thing now. Hall effect triggers and sticks. It's like magnetic, so it doesn't drift or some
my God.
bullshit.
Yeah.
I don't know. And all the controllers now are Hall effect controllers, like the Switch 2 Hall effect controllers.
Oh shit! I know that. Okay.
Don't be surprised, bro, when the PlayStation 5 be like, hey, bro, we got a new dual edge, dual sense controller, and it's got Hall effects. Don't be surprised, bro.
Luckily, I have 2 controllers. I might have to pick up a new one. We'll see. Okay, well, I feel like we've really covered everything as far as gameplay because I really got nothing.
I mean, that's it. I mean, wait. We did talk about it. The airplane section.
Oh, the airplane section. Yes. We mentioned earlier in the story you have a little flashback to, or it's not a flashback, but you need to, wait, is it a flashback? You need to essentially get a book to get information from somebody at a museum. And she's like, go get this book for me that's being transported tonight, and I'll give you information on this thing. And so cut to you in a plane, and then
you blow up the plane.
You blow up the plane and you're jumping out of the plane, and you have to dodge all the pieces of the plane as you descend. And it's a good idea. Like, I've seen it done in games, like where that's pretty cool. But like,
yeah,
it's
Saints
just
Row
like
3 did it better though.
Right? Yeah, I was gonna say, I'm like, I feel like other games have done this, and for some reason here, I'm just like, I just cannot dodge.
It's because of the hitboxes. I clocked it.
Yeah.
There's like one particular part of debris where it's like the hitboxes on all of the debris is so big,
yeah,
that it catches you even when you're not near when you think like, oh, I can just slip through this real quick and like by the skin of my teeth, and it's like, nope, you got caught by that hitbox. Repeat the entire section again. And
also, it wants you to go a specific a specific way.
Yeah, there's an exact route that they want you to go.
Yeah, you can't just be like, I'm gonna dodge this time. I'm gonna do this. No. You have to do everything. You have to go up here, go down here, go through this. God, I did that 25 times at least. I think that's when I started to realize. I was like,
I'm not fucking with this. I'm not gonna lie to you. That was the same time that I was. That's the exact same time I was like, I think I'm not fucking with this game, bro.
Nigga, you gave it 5 stars on backlog.
Listen.
I was like, wait.
My rating on backlog is off of vibes. It is how much did this game vibe with me. It is not an objective.
I know.
It is a pure. It's a pure like. I fuck with this game a lot. I still do. Like, even though we're talking so much shit about this game, and I understand now why this is a back of the rack game. Even though I just thought it was back of the rack because it just didn't get marketing. It had some fucked up things with the development of switching publishers because Sierra got bought by Activision Blizzard and they just dropped everything. Mm-hmm. There was a couple other games that didn't get picked up. I forgot to do the research, but I'll find those out. But anyway, yeah. And Bethesda was like, we give you guys 9 months to finish up, get this game gold. We're not going to promote this game at all. So it was going up against some bullshit. Because especially right after that, what was that going on around that time? Fallout 3 and New Vegas was coming out.
Mm. Yeah, New Vegas.
Skyrim was about to come out. Was announced already by this time.
I think Fallout 3 was first, but I can't remember.
Yeah, I think New Vegas at least had to be out by this point.
I think New Vegas was out in like 2011. I thought. Yeah, double check 2010. Okay. That was close. Yeah. Look, I don't even want this game. Let me tell you that much. Like, this might be a ban from the rack for me.
You know,
that's when I was done with it, I'm like, what'd you say?
I wouldn't even be mad at that.
Like, that's how much I was like, I don't know if I'll ever touch it. I don't even know. Like, I don't want to look at this. I don't want to be around it.
Hey, funny enough, they did publish that game I was talking about, Rogue Warrior. That's the game I was talking about, where it's like,
oh really?
Yeah, that was made by Rebellion. I did not know that. Anyway, yeah, it's like that ugly ass fucking first person shooter game where you play as like a warrior dude. It's like Expendables, the video game type shit. It's fucking ass, but I do remember playing that, and that came out the same year as this. Fallout 3 came out this year. So, and then New Vegas came out the year after that. So they were just missing. That's all, bro. They were just missing that this time, bro.
Yeah, I'm looking at
But
Rogue Warrior. Yeah.
Yeah, and then we're not adding that shit to the list. I'm gonna tell you that right now. You want to get an instant ban from the rank? Okay, here's my thing, because I'm trying to think of like other games that are kind of shitty but are like still fun, like The Club, which I think shit's on the list. Well, will be on the list. The Club is another game, but I mean, it's the fact that it's arcadey in its roots makes The Club stick out more and makes it more of an appealing like cop for like a collector or somebody like that, because it's like, okay, I just put in a club tonight and I'll just do a round or two and then call it a day. It's easy to do that. Whereas a wet, I don't see myself going back to play this game, because they have a new game plus, they have score attack, they have hard mode and extreme hard mode and all that stuff. But it's like, and I hate to say this because I feel like higher difficulties do elevate gameplay because it forces you to learn all of the mechanics in terms of like, maybe in hard mode, I will have to wall run into the slash and learn how to combo and stuff like that. Maybe.
Yeah.
But I already have all the upgrades, so I'm already going to be broken as fuck at the start of the game, so it doesn't even matter.
It was kind of weird to me that you got to dodge like really late in the game.
That's the last upgrade, and that pissed me off so much because that should have just been an innate feature. But even then, I'm sliding and I'm jumping and I'm wall running. Why am I rolling? What am I rolling away from?
Yeah, because you're never shooting anybody when you're not in the air or sliding. Because it's like ineffective. You're just getting shot at. It doesn't. Yeah. It's. Yeah, I didn't like this one, and I think
I don't blame you. I don't blame you, bro.
It frustrated me too because I saw like your rating on it, and I was reading your review. I'm like, what the fuck? And I went to read it to Elise. I was like, hold on, babe, listen to this. Listen to this nigga. And then I read the end, and I was like, oh yeah, I guess. If it's on vibes, okay. I get how you could, and I wish I could say that I like the vibes too, but nah.
It had what it is that I played another game that also involved slow-mo and shooting a bunch of people called Severed Steel at the same time that I was playing this game.
Oh wait, you're talking about the... Oh no, wait, I'm thinking of something else. Never mind.
Yeah, it's like voxel based. So like you can like shoot through walls and like blow up the terrain and stuff like that. Like it's a fast game. Like you're running your speed run. It's like you're blitzing through that game. It reminds me of, I keep saying Fear, but it's like Fear mixed with like Super Hot.
Okay.
And you're like you can like run and then do a double jump, blow up the ceiling, climb through the ceiling, kill that guy, and then do a dive through, blow up a hole, and then exit out the portal or whatever like that. Like it, I felt like I had more fun playing Severed Steel, not because it's 15 years younger, but because the slow-mo was used in a way in conjunction with the agility, in conjunction with the voxel-based destruction, that allowed me to do very emergent gameplay that I would not necessarily have playing a wet. Every stage in wet, I'm going to wall run into a jump, into a slide, into a jump, into a slide. I'm going to do that ad nauseum until I complete the combat challenge. Whereas even in there's luxury of, oh, I'm overwhelmed right now. Let me shoot the floor out so I can fall down and escape and give me another weapon because I just ran out of ammo on this one. There's a little bit more gameplay elements in it. Like if I didn't just have dual pistols, dual shotguns, dual submachine guns, dual crossbows, like if you could pick up an assault rifle from an enemy and then throw it at them when it ran out of ammo or something like that, something to make it seem like Ruby is this cold-blooded killer that can do it with any weapon surrounding her.
Yeah,
maybe that would have been a little bit better than just, feeling like
The sword
Like I
too,
said,
man. She has a
yeah, the
sword.
sword.
Like
It has no combos.
like let us
you
like
can't do shit with it.
you can't do anything with it. You can't like disarm an enemy with it. You can't like throw it at a wall and retrieve it later, or use it like as a thing to step on, or like you don't do anything
Use it as a
creative with
pogo
it.
stick or something.
Yeah,
It's
it's
something, bro. That's all it is, bro. It's like it's got the sauce. It's just like boil it a little bit, bro. Add some paprika to that motherfucker, bro.
yeah,
Please
yeah.
spice it up a little bit. But I still recommend you cop it though. Play this game, bro. It's a cool ass game, bro. It's cool. It's cool, bro. It's so cool.
Play the first chapter and then you're done. You can
if you play the first chapter and you finish that, once you finish the car chase and all that stuff, if you finish all that and you go, damn, that was cool as shit, keep playing. But if you don't, it's all good, bro. I wouldn't play mad.
I mean, do you want them to keep playing to the point that they're just like, oh fuck, this is shit? Or
no,
do you?
That's my
okay.
Because for me as a kid, just because that's what the demo was just the first mission up to the car chase.
Mm-hmm.
And then they added like a rage scene from like the end of the game, like randomly in there in between that.
Oh,
so like you get a little bit of like the entire premise of the game. So, and that's enough. Like, you know, you get your shooting, you get your combat arena, you get your little QTE car chase, and you get your little rage mode where you get to go dummy and kill everybody. And then that's all you need. Like, if you can feel all that and go that's good. This is hard because I get why you say banned from the rack, and I get it.
You know, I will say that the game flow is enhanced at times. It was better when I knew where all the enemies were at, because then it became a race of like, okay, I know where each enemy is going to be and where they're going to stand, and I can like try and wall run, take this guy out while my auto aim is taking out this guy. And that would happen pretty often where like, you know, I would die and then have to restart. And it became a lot more fluid when I knew where enemies were at. The problem is though with the arenas where enemies are more randomized where they're coming from. So it just feels like fuck, the easiest thing to do right now is to just jump in the air and just shoot. And just slide and just shoot, and like there's no plan. It's just like that's it. But
survive.
Just basically survive. And there's areas where the enemies are like, you know, put into places specifically, and they're always there if you die.
And they have the combo multipliers to show you like you should jump up here and swing over here to get the combo multipliers so that you can start, like you can see the route of like where you're going in the level if you wanted to get all the combo multipliers to like amplify your score or whatever like that. But it's like, I don't want to do that.
It doesn't feel good to go do that. It's clunky sometimes, and the way Ruby moves when she's not in slow-mo, like
it's so clunky.
I'm just like, can I get a sprint? Can I get something here? Jesus Christ.
You know what it is? Like when you do those jumps, like there's one arena where you like were supposed to jump and then grab onto these poles and then jump onto the thing, the fence, and then walk around. And then you get to the area where you can like shut off the gate or whatever that keeps the enemies from spawning. But the fact that you have to like jump off this ramp, and Ruby doesn't do like not in slow-mo, she just kind of thuds when she jumps. She doesn't have the same agility of a jump, and you have to slow-mo jump into the pole. But if you're slow-mo jumping into the pole, you're shooting, so you're not going to grab the pole. And it's like, what do I do? What do I do at this point? It's a lot of clunky, like, I guess I'll just run up this wall, I guess, and shimmy over.
It's so, like, it's just not the execution, the polish. It doesn't feel good to play. The vibes are there, yes, if you like rockabilly and if you like grindhouse, I guess, you know.
Yeah.
Replace this with maybe a Wu-Tang Clan like soundtrack. That'd be kind of dope. I could kind of see that. But even still, I just don't. And I know that it's not me just being like in this day and age, 2025, and going back and playing an older game. I know for a fact if I had played this when I was like when it first came out, or you know, like just back in the day, I know for a fact that I still would have had the same feeling about it, because it's just like something inherent in the gameplay loop, the game feel, and all this.
I
And
agree.
because I've played Max Payne 3. And
Yeah.
so like I know like how good slow motion feels and like how it can be spaced out and
Yeah.
used properly to like highlight or to accentuate a gunfight. Like, have you played Max Payne 3?
Yeah, I played all the Max Paynes and
Okay.
Dead to Rights,
That's yeah.
Stranglehold.
I haven't played
Yeah,
Stranglehold.
all the fears. Like I've played some slow-mo games, and I think that's
Yeah.
the issue is that I'm playing this after coming off of like a lot of slow-mo games, you know what I mean? And
Right.
I think the issue is, and I don't even want to say it's an issue because I agree with you. And I think that's the fear that I'm having in my head that I'm trying to repress is that when I was making money at 14 and I was going around buying random 360 games like Record of Agarest War and Infinite Undiscovery and stuff like that, if I wasn't buying JRPGs and I did decide to go buy that game Wet that I played the demo of so many times, what I probably would still have the same feelings that I have now, would probably be more negative. Because I wasn't, I don't want to say cultured, but because I would just, that's back in the day where if you didn't like something, you just go, that was shit.
Right.
And then keep it moving. Whereas like
Right.
I have nuance now of like, I didn't like Legendary or I didn't like Wet or I didn't like blase blah. But because of these reasons, but I understand I like it because of these reasons as well. So it's a mixed bag.
Yeah. It is. Yeah. It's a mixed bag. Maybe it won't be banned from the rack, but so far with R Racing and Jeanne d'Arc, it's at the bottom right now. So unless X-Men Destiny could
I'm about to say
beat it out.
X-Men Destiny has been staring at that band for the rack, and I'm like, prove me wrong.
Yeah, please be redeeming in some way. I'm hoping. We will see. Binary Domain, I know, is going to be good because I've played that. And what else do we have?
Or the Samurai Champloo game. What if the Samurai Champloo game is like a fucking McDonald's game?
I think the I've played a little bit of the Samurai Champloo game. I had it, and like an idiot traded it back in, or like
now
later
it's $1,000.
Now it's fucking so expensive. Now it's only the disc for $140. That game might be a similar situation to this game, but I only played the first level of that game.
Yeah, you didn't even get to play with Jin yet.
No,
you didn't even get to do the mandatory stealth section with Fuka.
Is there? Are you making that up?
I don't know. I'm just making that up. Okay.
Yeah. Well, I guess we'll see. I'm excited for it though. And then we also have Manhunt. No, wait, not Manhunt.
The Suffering.
The Suffering.
I feel like the Suffering is going to have so much swag that like it can't be banned. Like I feel like it has so much sauce to where we'll be like,
and we have Rumble Roses.
It's titties, bro. We're not banning that.
Yeah, unless it's like unless it plays terribly, I just can't see it being like.
Well, to be fair, I can't play Def Jam Vendetta because I just suck at wrestling games. So maybe.
I haven't played a wrestling game in a minute, so we'll see.
That's what I'm saying, bro. Like Def Jam Vendetta was a struggle, and I played that when I was like in 4th grade, and I never went back. I was like, I don't want to play this shit ever again. I'm going back to Def Jam Fight for New York. I'm not playing this shit.
Yeah.
So, and I haven't played a wrestling game since, but it's always very annoying.
I haven't played one probably since 4th grade as well. So we'll see how I feel. But, I mean, eclectic, characters, they look fucking, I don't know if you saw some of like the cutscenes, but.
Yeah, the Rey Mysterio girl, bro.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't wait to play as her, bro. That's going to be my main.
Yeah, I'm guessing each girl has their own story, I imagine. I don't know really how it's going to work. Yeah, I don't know if it's like crazy. One campaign and you like switch between them, or if it's like every character.
Or if it's like some virtual fighter shit where it's like you have level up your thing, go do the score. You beat this mission, so you got $6,000. Right. Spend that on points on upgrading your grappling or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. And then there's obviously which I always forget. There's Rumble Roses XX that's on 360. So there was a second Rumble Roses.
I think that's just a port, I think, of Rumble Roses onto the next gen consoles, I think.
Oh, is it? Maybe I should just get that then.
Oh, no, it is the sequel. It is a sequel. Never mind.
Damn, you got me excited. I was like, oh, maybe I'll just pick up.
I thought it was because I was about to cop Rumble Roses XX. I was about to do the same thing, and then we'd be talking about it and be like, "Bro, this is that's the wrong game, bro."
Although they would probably both be back of the rack just because like no one covers them or talks about them. I feel like it's a bygone era. Those types of games.
It is made by the people that did make the WWE SmackDown game, so it is a wrestling ass game. So
okay, we will see. And wow, a lot of sports. Well, I guess we did try to switch it up.
Technically, we got it. Wrestling technically is its own little genre. So I mean, we got strategy, we got another racing, we got a third person action game, we got a football game, we got a wrestling game.
Yeah, like typically we wouldn't put it like a fighting game in because like we just wouldn't like we're not gonna put in like fucking underbirth or what is it called?
Inbirth, Udius Code, EX Late.
Yeah, we're not gonna play that because it's just like those games. I don't know. They're just they don't make sense for our show entirely.
I got Marvel Nemesis on the list, but I think Marvel Nemesis
that makes sense.
It has a story though, so
yeah, it has a story that makes sense for us to be able to go through. So I don't know. We'll see. Marvel Nemesis is. I'm curious about going back to that.
All I know is Spider-Man goes, "I kicked your ass." That's all.
Yeah, I didn't know it was so hated. A lot of people didn't like it, and I was like, "Oh shit, my bad."
Yeah, as a kid, I thought everybody had Marvel Nemesis. I thought that was like the shit, I guess.
Uh-huh.
But I mean, I always saw people that had it, like sleepovers bullshit. You would see somebody with Marvel Nemesis and be like, "Oh yeah." When you never saw somebody playing
Need
it.
for Speed.
Yeah,
I guess that's true. Yeah. All right, well, let's wrap this bitch up. Overall, I would not recommend Wet. Unfortunately, it's just so. No.
I would not recommend it as well. You're not wrong. I wouldn't recommend it either. I wouldn't recommend it in the sense that. Okay.
Play the demo. I just be like, yeah, just try the demo if you could. But like to go out of your way and buy the game, it's kind of
unless it was cheap. If you saw it in the game in your local game store and it was like
$5
at most, 10, 15. 5, maybe 15 at the most, I'd cop it just on some bullshit, just to be like, hey, fuck it, you all not. But like, would I go out on my way to eBay it?
How much is it on eBay? What is the pricing range for it?
Right? I don't know, bro. I don't know, bro. It was at my local game store for $7.99. So I bought it for $7.99. Hold on, let's see. Xbox 360 Wet. Niggas are selling this shit for $30.
Okay, yeah. I think did I buy it on? I can't remember what I bought it on. If I bought it on eBay or what the deal was.
Yeah, it's even $30 on PS3. I don't know. Maybe it went up. Maybe the collectors are finally realizing that people are moving on to PS3, Xbox 360. Maybe that's what it is, bro. I swear I bought that joint for cheap last time. But
I'm checking my Game Eye to see if I recorded like what I bought it at. Bro, I hate that Game Eye asks every time. Do you want to restore? Point? I was like, where do I put this file? No, I just like I don't want to do anything.
Because I have this in my drive just in case I like. Come on, Game Eye. Think about it. And besides, I just do it again, bro. That's what I be doing. I just did that. I went through the whole my whole collection when I was putting this shelf up, and then I had to do the wish list again, bro, and all that stuff, bro. Ain't nobody trying to do all that.
I bought it for $30. I bought it for $30 and it was up by. It's actually gone up in price now.
Damn.
So complete in box is $40. New, obviously you're not gonna buy it new, but loose disc is $24. So it's I mean, if you can. When did I buy this? I guess I bought it on eBay. I think I bought this at my local game store as well. I don't think I bought this on eBay. I think I just paid but I think it was like store credit or something. So yeah, that's why I'm so salty about it. Because the nigga paid.
Could have went the White Knight Chronicles, man. Fuck.
White Knight Chronicles. I don't even fucking have one. White Knight Chronicles 1 and 2. I heard that White Knight Chronicles 2 has like White Knight Chronicles 2 has all of White Knight Chronicles 1 in it.
Yeah. I think so. I think it's one of those things, bro. Bro, we gotta play. We gotta play Dark Cloud 2, bro. I got a task for you. You need to play Dark Cloud 1 so that we can play Dark Cloud 2 for next season.
What do I play it on? Because I feel like I could get the PS2 copy. I can play it on PS5 because there's I can. Play
is it on PlayStation 5?
Oh yeah,
I was about to smack you for asking me that. I was about to be like, "What? You better get that PlayStation 2." I think it's a DVD. I think it's a CD-ROM disc. I think it's that early in the PlayStation 2 life. Maybe. Let me see. Is it blue? Oh no, it's white. Never mind. Yeah. It's white. I thought it was a blue one. It's a cool game, bro. And we need to play the second game. I feel like you would. If we're gonna play,
the second game looks cool every time I've seen it. But yeah, I don't know about the first game. Looks a little. It looks like a Nintendo 64 game.
I mean, it used to be, but
was it? Okay.
Yeah. So
yeah, I'll probably I'll get it on. Like, how much is it on eBay?
I don't know. It's a great question.
Dark Cloud.
It's only $12.
Yeah.
The second one is more expensive than the first one.
Dark Cloud PS2. Yeah, you get it for $13, $32 for the second one. Yeah, I always see it, so I'd definitely be down to pick it up and play it on my own. Right? You're not talking about for back of the rack.
Yeah, I'm just saying on your own, so that we can get a gauge. Because if you fuck with that, then we can play Dark Cloud 2.
Then next season, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. But if not,
I mean, I'd be willing to jump in.
Just go straight into Dark Cloud 2.
Yeah, I would. Yeah. Are they connected or something in some special?
No,
way?
they're not at all. No. So Dark Cloud was a technical project. It didn't do well at all in Japan, but for some reason it did really, really well in the West. And so Level 5 was like, okay, we're just gonna remake the game. It's kind of like a Dragon's Dogma 2 kind of thing, where it's technically the sequel, and that's why it's called Dark Cloud 2 here, but in Japan it's called Dark Chronicle because it's like a complete retry at the entire premise of Dark Cloud 1 with the lessons that they learned from making that into Dark Cloud 2.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm excited to play because I thoroughly enjoyed Dark Cloud 1 just because of, from a technical standpoint, being like a launch title PlayStation 2 game that was doing all that was just insane to me.
Right. Right, so make sure you pick up your copy of Wet, I guess, for $30 because Sondi says it's 5 stars and it's worth it. And it's gonna be his favorite soundtrack of the. It's gonna be soundtrack.
I didn't say all that now. Hold on. No. I didn't say all that now. You never know, bro.
You said that so far, it's the best soundtrack. Did you say that?
I did.
I was gonna say. I'm pretty sure you said.
Okay. Let me rephrase that. Out of the 3 games that we've played so far,
and this is. Remember, think about what you're saying because we just.
I said it was an honorable mention.
Okay.
It's a good runner-up.
Okay. All right.
All depending on the vibes, but like. It's just because R Racing is my music. That's me. That's true. That's my heart right there in terms of like my musical taste. So.
Right.
Of course I'm gonna love it, but like this is so different, and I still really liked it. So. But I don't pay $30 for this game just because the soundtrack might hit. No, don't do that.
No. Yeah, if you have a PS3, Xbox 360, if you can, still download the demo to try it out. Watch some gameplay, or obviously we're showing you gameplay, so I don't know. I just can't recommend it. I'm sorry. But yeah, that's episode 3. That's episode 3, and next episode will be blitzing through.
I can't wait, bro. Listen. Left hand up for we! Welcome to Back of the Rack, a gaming video cast about games long neglected and not respected, games that everyone's heard of or hated, or no one's heard of and loved. We play the games in between the essentials and the unwanted, but mostly, we play what we want on this podcast. Join our Discord where you can talk with us and others about Back of the Rack games, and make sure to like and comment on our videos and leave good reviews on the podcast feeds. Your feedback and engagement is the fuel that keeps us going. We hope everyone watching and listening is doing great, and we thank you for joining us today on another episode.